There we go. We have sound. What is good, y'all? It has been a crazy week, so let's just chill, laugh at some stuff. Short stream. More streams to come this week. So, start the party with, as always, Solid JJ. How is that real? Oh no, he blows up. Nothing but bad news. They got robbed? Very threatening. CTV, long time. Hope you're well and Happy New Year. We've been chilling, having debates, going on other people's stuff, doing my own thing. One whole day of Epstein, normal stuff. Which human torch? I hate to debate, but I keep getting invited to debate one on one, so I've been doing that pretty much on a weekly basis. I had a debate last Monday about the Renee Good shooting. Up to have a debate with Speakeasy this Saturday. I don't know what it's about yet. Yeah, I got no problem with it until people get unhinged. Oh no. Hey, you still come up in conversation, so you are not forgotten around here. Unfortunately, Hippy Dippy didn't manage to come back. Oh yeah, you came up in a conversation, I want to say a week or so ago. Just mostly going over the history of Twitch. So when you bring up some of the biggest panels and shows, your name will definitely end up coming up. You can't give an android cancer. It's a wrap. All right, now on to this madness. Apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene went on Tommy Lauren's show. And I don't want to give reviews, so I'm just going to go ahead and watch it this way. Zephyr! The streak ends of Kung Fu Joe shows up. What is that about? How is that fair? I'm being censored. You know damn well you want to talk to Kung Fu Joe. Oh, good to hear. Yeah, let me know. And if you want me to appear, shoot me a DM. You know I'm available. I make appearances. Cool. My G is on TikTok. Okay, yeah, that's where the money's at. He's like, fuck her pro now. Oh, first video. You're sitting there talking to James from the internet. Nice. What's up, Jenny? Can't hear the vid. That's crazy.
Satisfied.
I think the American people are getting quite literally nothing we asked for. We asked for the files.
Thank
it's
you
like
for the
people
heads up,
forget that
because
the
Zephyr
reason we
wasn't
wanted
saying
the
a word.
files is so we knew who was doing the shit. So when you release files that are all redacted,
So
we
let me
don't
run
know
this
who's
back.
doing the shit.
And seen it all over social media.
She was a sitting House member who wanted to join the Senate really badly, but got ousted by Trump. Got ousted by Trump. Okay, because she was going against Trump because of the Epstein files, essentially.
This is
captions on.
Marjorie Taylor Greene pleading her case as to why she broke with Trump.
Them all at once or in totality? Is there
Nobody
No,
said
let's see
a
if we can go back
word.
a little bit.
For some reason, OBS likes to reset all the settings.
I mean, they're still being
randomly, not every time,
Oh,
but most of
hold
the
on,
time.
I gotta rewind a little bit. Let me just rewind a little bit.
All right, you know her as one of the most outspoken and controversial voices on Capitol Hill.
Thomas Lauren.
Today, she's here with me in Nashville, Tennessee to talk
She
about
looks
issues
so
around
unhappy.
American politics and maybe a wedge into the MAGA movement.
Like
What's
literally
up, guys?
dead
Catch
inside.
all episodes of Tommy
Appreciate
Lahren is
you.
I don't care.
Make sure
I don't
know
care.
where
Mr.
I'd be without you
Mr.
guys.
Lauren. I don't care.
At Tommy Lahren is
I
fearless.
don't care.
Joining me now in studio, former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG for short. So I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I have so much to talk to you about, but I got to start with something I know you're very passionate about, and that's the Epstein files. We're getting a slow drip of information. I'm sure you're not happy with, the full transparency.
I can turn the audio of the video up for you,
But
chat.
as we sit here today, do you feel like the American people are getting at least a little bit more of what they've been demanding?
No, I think the American people are extremely unsatisfied.
I think the American people are getting quite literally nothing we asked for. We asked for the files. It's like people forget that the reason we wanted the files is so we knew who was doing the shit.
Right?
So when you release files that are all redacted, we don't know who's doing the shit.
You just like
seen it
Javon
all
Bradley?
over social
Really?
media, as
Why
well
is
as
that?
talking to people that I know in Georgia.
Is it the
this has
smarminess?
been probably one of the biggest
Is
issues
it the
I've seen in my
rhetoric?
time in politics. People are outraged.
I need to know.
They're outraged.
Let me know
to
how the
the point
volume is
where
now,
They're emotionally
squad.
upset. I've seen videos of women crying, saying that they can't clean their house, they can't cook, they're having a hard time
I haven't
functioning.
experienced
I
them
saw
lying about
men
things
making
specifically.
videos talking about people need to be strung up on gallows. I mean, there is intense
But I don't listen to a great deal of his
emotional
debates. I mostly just
feelings
see
and
him on the
anger.
atheist shows.
And people have completely lost hope and trust in our government. And rightfully so.
But I mean,
It
most of
has
the people
been
that he's up
decades
against
where
aren't
we've
gonna
watched
fact check him in
administration
real
after
time.
administration do nothing and hold no one accountable for this. And then it was such a fight to the point it was what pushed me out of politics to get these files released, and they're still being slow walked. There's millions of more files to be
I'll have to
released,
do some research on that.
needs to come out.
I may need to
So
pull
why
up
do
a
you
highlight
think
reel.
they've been slow walked? I mean, there was a huge dump millions
It was a
over
huge
the
dump.
weekend, and we're getting a slow drip. You know, I know it's a massive amount, but why do you think that there's
This
been
I think
gets
we have
into
like
it.
2%
This
of
is
the
so
files at the
fucking
moment.
not
interesting
only
to hear
by
say
maybe
this
this
shit that's about to
administration, but
come.
previous administrations to
Let's just call it what it is. The reason why the files are coming out the way they are, the reason why they're redacted, the reason why it's slow drip, because Trump is protecting pedophiles. Say what you want about whether he's in the files. He's protecting the people in the files. The people in the files are being protected by somebody. And considering his
Okay, now you got me
administration has
curious. I
all
need
the
to watch some
info,
of this.
right now they're being
Is it in his
protected by
debates or
him.
is it?
End of story.
Probably is.
put it all out? Are there legitimate concerns about putting it all out? Do you see some of the reasoning behind maybe not dumping them all at once or in totality? Is there something there
Wick
that you
still
think
does
gives
what
a
he
little bit of
does.
justification for that?
No, I don't give them any justification at all.
See who else does
I don't
anything.
give anyone in the government a
The
reason.
Raging Tomato
Yo,
is
the fact. First of
pretty
all,
much popping off.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was not great at
Speakeasy
answering
still
questions
does
when she
things.
was in the House. I like that she just
Those are the ones I'm aware
just
of.
straight up was like,
Yeah,
no,
why
fuck
is it
that.
dropping frames? What's up on my internet?
I fuck with that answer. I don't fuck with her and her Jewish space lasers, but I fuck with that answer.
And for keeping this covered up. We're looking at around 1,200 women who are victims. We're talking about rape
Yep, still
of
dropping
teenage
frames.
girls, trafficking. That's what Ghislaine Maxwell
Also,
was.
can
she
we
was
please, dude, can we please? There's so many real shit in the Epstein files. Can we stop with the conspiracy shit?
I mean, there's
Like,
going to be
I have
conspiracy
watched
talk
so
until we
many
get all
YouTube
the
videos
info. But
of conspiracy. Well, now look, Jeffrey Epstein started the transgender movement. Fucking look at the Epstein files. Diddy is taking over Kai Cenat. They're clones. Homie, can y'all fucking stop? It's like there's so much real conspiracy shit to worry about. Can we stop with the fake stuff? Like, god damn.
convicted
oh,
for
there's a huge
trafficking.
vacuum.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
not
I
a
stopped
one-way
hosting panels.
crime, right? Who were they trafficked to?
I don't
So
see the
there's
point,
many more
but-
people implicated. To me, the biggest thing is it should have never been a fight in the first place. This was a campaign
Somebody's gotta
promise.
do it.
We all campaigned on it. People in the administration said it over and over again. Release the Epstein files. President Trump talked
Yeah,
about
you
it
don't really
back in
get a lot of
2015. I
panels
supported
anymore.
him since early on. He talked about it since 2015.
I'm guessing it's mostly because a lot of people don't
Don
have time like
Jr.,
they did during the
everybody, Charlie
pandemic.
Kirk, everybody was release Epstein files. Ironically, no Democrats were,
Yeah.
but all
That's
of
not
us
true.
were. And here it turned into a fight where
okay. So
the
really
president,
quickly, so that's functionally untrue. There were actually quite a few Democrats that called for the release of the files well before.
Like, I don't think it's too
Like
hard
this goes
to
back to 2019.
host a panel.
Louis Frankel was calling for them.
Trying to get
Tim
more
Kaine was
people
calling
is
for them.
very difficult.
Ro
Like, you just
Khanna
end
was
up with the
calling for
same
Ro Khanna was
rotating
calling
cast
for
of
them
characters.
prior to the election.
Having the same people on, especially people
So
that
this
infuriate
is
others.
it's
ends
just
up
not
being a
true.
problem.
Like,
So,
it's
like,
just
I think
not,
Wick does a really good job in the sense that he reaches out
It's just a lie.
through other platforms
Now
to
I
get other
could
people
I could
on.
be charitable and say it. Maybe it's a
But it's not
I
easy.
don't know lie, but it's definitely a lie.
yelled at me, was angry at me, told me that his friends would get hurt, and that's why he wanted me to take my name off
Okay.
that discharge
That's
petition.
what I
Okay, hold
wanted
on,
to
hold on.
I told
hear.
him absolutely not.
Do we believe
So
her?
obviously she's got beef with Trump right now. But if this is true, if what she's saying here is true, oof. Let me go back and listen to what she's about to say.
Turned into a fight where the president yelled at me, was angry at me, told me that his friends would get hurt, and that's why he wanted me to take my name off that discharge petition. And I told him absolutely not. It's a moral line in the sand. And
I'll just have to turn it
this is
down
what
because it's
ended
as
up
loud as my
him
mic
calling
gets.
me a traitor and saying that he would primary me. So no, this has been a major issue. He called it a Democrat hoax, which is not a hoax. Fought to release the files.
Turn
Had
it
our
down
Speaker
ever
of the
so
House,
slightly.
Mike Johnson, was fighting us to get this vote to the floor to the point where we had to work with Democrats. We shouldn't have never had to work with Democrats.
Yeah, it's saying it's dropping frames. I don't know if my internet is trash because of the rain or what the deal is, but yeah, there's not much I can really do about it except reset my internet, which I doubt will do anything.
Democrats. This was the easiest thing for our Republican majority
it's a short
to do
stream today,
without
so.
the Democrats because they didn't care about it. They clearly
Dude, again, not true. But it
Yeah,
is
the
crazy
panels, like,
that
people
when
are
she
literally
went on
tired
her-
of a lot of what they had
when
to
she
offer.
went real hard on the Epstein files, Trump started going real hard against her. Now, you can definitely wonder how accurate it is. I mean, the House voted. Was there
Pam
just
Bondi
one
seeming like
vote
she's a
in the
hostage.
House against releasing the files? Which, by the way, lock that person up. That's the most telling shit in the world.
I'll
That
try
is
not running the
voting
game
for
as soon as I
Epstein
finish
files.
this one.
But it is very interesting how hard he went against her. And if she's telling the truth here,
But this game doesn't
that the
really take a lot of
reason-
resources.
the
so
reason he
I
went
don't know
against
what's up.
her is because he's saying, well, my
I think
friends
it's
are
like
going to get
literally
hurt.
the weather.
It lines up with what he's doing. It lines up with the fact that he spent all this money and man hours redacting the files. It lines up.
never cared about it until it became a political scoreboard for them. And now it was mishandled so poorly.
I mean, literally,
that here they are,
Republicans
they're
were
taking
screaming
victory
at the
laps that they
top of
don't
their
even
lungs,
deserve.
release the files.
And,
Joe
I think it's
Rogan
been
talking all
the
that good,
biggest
even though he
political
had tons of
miscalculation,
people from
but
Epstein's
it
orbit
has
on
also
his show.
shattered MAGA and caused us to lose the
People don't like
independent
hypocrisy.
vote that we. Oh my goodness, that's how we won the midterms.
You think the Epstein files are powerful
Although I've always
enough
thought
or,
Marjorie is a
I
true
guess,
believer.
consequential enough to sway independents in their vote?
There's a couple of key things, but I think
I hate
that
her
is a
face.
big one.
I hate Thomas Lauren's face, dude. I hate it.
It keeps calling it
nothing's
Thomas.
on its own in isolation, but the Epstein files are a big one. But the independents, we're losing them on cost of living, cost of housing, especially for young people, can't afford to buy houses, health insurance. It's a big one. Democrats created the whole disaster with Obamacare. Then they made it worse with the ACA tax
Untrue.
credits. And then Republicans have never come forth with a real plan to fix it. So we're just
That's true.
failing
Oh,
the
she's telling
American
the
people
truth.
on health insurance. Those are people care about what affects their lives. But then turning to foreign wars when we said
No, that
more
sounds
foreign
way too much
wars,
like right change
no more
box.
regime change, and we've seen that to be a highlight of
You know, the people
the
that are
Trump
actually
Oh,
supposed to
I
be
don't hate
getting
her face 'cause
something
of
done,
Botox. I just hate her face.
complaining that things aren't getting done.
Bro, I still remember Tommy Lauren on fucking when she went on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah and he embarrassed the shit out of her. How did the fact that she had a career after that is mind blowing?
over the past year and possibly on the verge of a war with Iran. Americans don't care. And independence, I mean, it clearly in polling.
I mean,
it's
they're
showing
actively just
that
making
we
it
have
worse.
lost them big time. But I don't think people want to vote for Democrats either. I mean, who would want to vote for Democrats? It's insane.
Half
So,
the country.
I had Harry Sisson. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's like a progressive kid on the left, a big Joe Biden supporter, and he was very passionate about the Epstein files. And I said,
And
you
we're
know,
doing
this
it
is the
again,
first
and
time
we
I've really heard Democrats
absconded with
care
Maduro.
about this. I don't know if he was, even born when we
Because,
started
dude, I'm
discussing.
gonna sound like a parrot just because I'm gonna be repeating what many people are saying. You have to remember that there was a massive separation between the executive branch and the FBI up until this term.
Ooh, when I say
Like-
that, like, this happened before I was even
First
born.
and foremost, the
We were
Epstein files
already
could not
screwed
be
before I
released
was
until,
born.
What was it? When did the Maxwell? When did the
I just
Ghislaine
had to figure it out
Maxwell,
along the way.
trial end? Because they couldn't be released until then. First and foremost, right? It wasn't until Ghislaine Maxwell's trial even ended because there was an open investigation and an open
Turn it
trial.
off the game.
So they
See
couldn't
what we
even be
get.
released until then. So everybody who goes, well, why didn't Obama release them? I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Second of all, up until Trump, presidents didn't really direct the FBI in specific ways like Trump has been doing, right? Definitely not in the way. Now, could Biden have released the files? Yeah. Should he have? Probably, yeah. Right? But it's a distraction. Every time they bring up, well, why didn't the Dems release it? Why did it? You're just distracting from the fact that you also don't want to release them. Lock up the fucking Dems too.
I mean,
don't
he's been
care.
running this line for a hot minute.
But don't act like you now want the files released, because you don't. Don't try to paint it as, well, if only those Democrats had done it first, then we wouldn't be in that. We wouldn't even
He just
have
has
to
a
have done
talking
it.
point.
No, you're also simping for the pedophiles.
It, but
Great.
he just now started to be concerned about it. But there are a lot of Republicans, Trump supporters that are like, listen, we
Wait, hold
care
on.
about the Epstein files.
I got something else to say too. Like, what the fuck do you mean we're just starting to be concerned about it? We thought y'all were going to release them. You kept telling us that you were going to drop the files and you were going to expose all the Dems. So I was like, okay, guess I don't need to worry about it, right? It's not something I need to worry about.
We
That
need a
was
Jesus.
Trump's whole thing. It was immigration. It was affordability, which he's already gone back on. And it was the Epstein
dude,
files.
you got COVID?
So
That
I just
sucks.
naturally assumed y'all were going to release them. But now you're telling me, no, that's not what's happening. We're not putting them out.
COVID sucks.
We're not dropping them. And when we do, they're going to be heavily redacted.
And we care about holding
Well, I
people
hope you
to
have a
account,
strong
but
recovery.
it feels like the Democrats just really think there's something in there about Trump, or there's something
Yeah,
that they
this'll
could
get it.
make look like it's about Trump. That's kind of where I sit. I think that if
He's in the files like a million
Literally
times.
know his name has been redacted.
He was friends with the dude for
Homie,
15
homie,
years
whatever
by his own
fucking
admission.
nonsense you say. Okay? I hate to
I don't know why they weren't released
if
personally.
You had
Like, I just don't think it
a
was
best friend, and he was your
a big
best
thing
friend
for
in the
Democrats
world.
to do.
and your best friend ran was a sheriff in your local town. You loved this sheriff. You thought everything this sheriff touched turned to gold. Okay? You and this sheriff were fucking tight
And I
as
remember
shit,
the monoclonal
dude.
antibodies being
Okay?
a big thing for a
Tight as
minute.
fuck.
But most of us
And
couldn't
there
afford that
was
anyway.
exposed a ring of pedophiles in your town. And you found out that this sheriff controlled millions of documents, emails, photos, videos, court documents about the people who
It
did
was a little too effective.
And
That
then
bottom
you found
line.
out that this sheriff paid his department buco overtime bucks to redact his name out of all of those files. The only logical fucking jump I can make there is he's in
Got a
them.
point there.
Like, what would be the other point of redacting yourself from the files? Why would it be that we have to have photos that have been public for years of the sheriff at campaign events now all of a sudden redacted out of nowhere? Homie,
I'll pull something
the
up
only logical conclusion I can make
since you
is
insist.
he's either all over those goddamn files or he's protecting the people all over those goddamn files. And the only response I have to both of those things
Where's that thing?
is fuck him.
Democrats had some kind of a smoking gun on Trump, it would have been out a long time ago. They wouldn't have had to go to the lengths that they went to with the Stormy Daniels and the mugshot and everything that they did to that man if they had some kind of smoking gun there. So I don't think there's anything that
Well, and
implicates
to
Trump.
your point, and I've said this over and over again, I've even said it since the president turned on me.
Because I mean, the
on this issue.
mentions don't really
The
bother me so
Epstein
much as like
victims
people
themselves,
actively
they call themselves survivors. They have said
looking
over
to
and over.
party
They said
on
at
the
the press
island
conferences we
and,
did in Washington D.C.
like,
they
the-
said President Trump did
the
nothing
victims
wrong.
basically
They said,
not getting
and their attorney said he was the
interviewed.
only
It's
one that
pretty
helped
crazy.
them, and that was
Yeah, clap Bill
released
Clinton
in
up
the
too. I
files.
mean, I
Most
believe they're being
recent
called on to
was
testify like,
President Trump
right
called,
now.
I believe
And all
the
they wanted
FBI,
to
I think
do
it
was
was
talk
in
about Benghazi.
2008
So
Yeah,
or
2006,
six,
yeah.
and reported that. So that is accurate. That has been the most confusing part about this. Is no one implicated the president? The women.
There is
I mean, if they all get cooked, I do not care. It does not
Okay.
change my life one bit.
zero
Beyond putting a smile on my face.
evidence out of the documents.
Like, that's how we
That
get these old
shows that
people out of
Donald
office.
Trump was an FBI source, that he called them on Epstein, that doesn't exist. That is a fantasy. That is a myth. Now, if somebody fucking finds it, dude, sure, maybe
He's got the
maybe
judgment of a
there's something
goddamn
that I've
toddler.
missed in my combing of the Epstein files, but there's no evidence of that in the files. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I assume they're trying to make it look as bad for one side over the other side as possible. And the redactions keep moving
what
around.
What the fuck is she talking about? This all stems from Trump making up a lie. And y'all fell for the fucking lie. Now, it is true. It is true.
Like, keep in mind, I'm only watching it
Epstein
on
was
Jovan
banned
because I don't
from
want to give
Mar-a-Lago.
Tommy Lauren
That's
a
true.
view. Otherwise, I could
We
just
know
pull
that
it up
Trump
on my
did
own.
not let him go to Mar-a-Lago anymore, but we don't know the reason why. We don't know that's because Trump was working with the FBI. There's no evidence for this. It's just made up bullshit, dude.
Women have not implicated the president. Their attorney has not implicated the president.
Yeah,
But
this
the
is not a
Democrats
tribal
still want
problem,
to continue
in my opinion.
to make
But they're
him
trying to
the
make it
master
tribal.
villain.
Same way with
Now,
COVID, they
where
made it
do I sit
tribal.
in that?
When
for me, I have
diseases
something
don't
about the
have
victims
party
implicating him,
lines.
something
I'm
about the
sorry.
victims
This is
implicating
like
him,
a public issue. This is
We
for
don't
everybody to
know
deal with.
Who half the victims are? More than half. We don't know what these victims have implicated him in, because there are a bunch of victims who this administration has not talked to. So, like, I'm sorry? There's a bunch of victims who have not spoken to the FBI.
Yep,
who have
there's
not
one of the
talked
problems.
To the Justice Department.
Like, they
who
literally
have
are not
given
interviewing
statements.
victims.
So,
But we went over this last week watching like all the Pam Bondi
loyalties
testimony.
anymore. I'm strictly black and white, right and wrong, good versus evil, and I maintain
even
that he treated
after
Good versus
me
evil.
extremely poorly. It was wrong what he did to me, calling me a traitor for standing with what our campaign.
look
but
what
you're
I can
still
do.
fucking simping for him. You're still repeating his lies.
Yeah, but Zephyr might have
You're
doesn't like
still
him. So.
fucking like
Dear
you're
T,
still
for you.
like
But yeah, it would have been great to get him on.
there's brown still
You will
on
get
your
your
nose,
bits.
probably because you still want something from him. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, she's still
with
siding with
women
Trump, just
who
not
were
on
raped
this.
as teenagers and saying these files need to come out. I'm not a traitor for that. I didn't betray. I voted with that man 98% of the time. As a
She
matter of
says
fact,
with a smile
my
on her face as he's
legislation
protecting
are mirror
pedos.
images of many of his executive orders. And I stood and fought for him when every Republican in Washington turned
dare
their
you
back
be
and
proud
was
of
like,
yourself.
screw you, and ready to just cast him aside. And they did. And I fought for him. So I will maintain that I am very angry and because I was treated very wrong by him and the Republican Party. I donated
Hey,
all
look what I
my
can do.
dues every single year to the NRCC. Paid my dues
Thank you,
upfront,
Changebox.
in full, supporting
Dear
the
It's
T,
party.
always
for you.
And
appreciated.
the speaker didn't defend me. No one in Washington, none of the elected Republicans in Congress that I served with,
'Cause they
helped
also
get
wanna protect
elected,
the pedophiles.
had endorsed many
True.
of them, donated to them, donated to the NRCC. Nobody said, "Hey, Mr. President, you're treating Marjorie wrong. That's not right." But
I don't care about the way you were treated, Marjorie. Anyway, this
Nobody
just to say,
cares.
Like, it's the news cycles are still so dominated by the Epstein files, and rightly so. But like, if she's right and he's just protecting his friends, I think he's protecting his friends and himself. But don't believe these lies that they found this in the files. They found this in the file. No, they didn't. Just to make it nice and simple for you. Special shout out to my tier 4 members for making
So
videos.
this one from Midas.
Donald Trump and his regime can't handle the fact that we've already gotten
Fast
out these
forward.
videos for a very long time. Because in it, BBC identified numerous eyewitnesses back then. What I think is very helpful is finding the witnesses who talked about it in 2018, in 2016, in the early 2000s, in the 1990s. So you have that basis of comparison as well. So let's just pull out the receipts, shall we? And let's make the Trump regime panic even more. As Democratic Congress member Ted Lieu writes, The interview that the Midas Touch Network just posted with someone by the name of Barbara Pilling sheds light on why Attorney General Pam Bondi paused for so long before responding to a question about whether Donald Trump attended parties with underage girls. He did, is the answer. Many times Donald Trump attended parties with underage girls.
Oh, she apologized for her toxic role in politics?
When Donald Trump was in his 40s and 50s and 60s.
Crazy.
Okay, why was he doing parties with underage girls? Why would he even do that to begin with?
I mean,
and then, of course, yesterday in the video that's gotten over 2 million views, I reported how a business person who ran a pageant said that Donald Trump and Epstein brought in lots of girls, and they said they were going to have a modeling competition at Mar-a-Lago, and there would be all these other guys from the fashion industry there. But it ended up just being Donald Trump and Epstein and these girls. Why would you do that? What do you think Donald Trump and Epstein were doing with the girls? So first, I want to share with you the cross-exam by Ted Lieu and Bondi, and then I'm going to show what Barbara Pilling said, and then I'm going to show you some level of contrition. The beauty pageant contestants in Trump's beauty pageant said about him walking in on them naked or walking in on them as they were changing. And then I'm going to show you what Donald Trump told a group of high school students, where he said it was a very courageous act when he talked about grabbing women without consent by their genitals. In other words, sexually assaulting women. Trump spoke with high school kids and college kids, and he told them that it was so courageous that military generals praised him. You remember when he said that? If not, I'm going to go and show you that. And maybe, you know what, I'll show you too. I'll show you when Donald Trump spoke at a high school, and he was speaking to the high schoolers. Like Trump in his own words.
There's no way I don't believe he was involved.
About golden showers, as about getting peed on by hookers. Being friends with a dude for 15 years. I don't like that. I don't like getting, he goes, Melania knows I don't like golden showers. I don't think he's going to go to jail for it to be prosecuted. I just want people to know this is the caliber of individual. Why would you bring that up during a speech? You ready for the receipts, Midas Mighty? Make sure you hit subscribe, by the way, to our YouTube channel. You see how close we are to 6 million subscribers? Help us do the clip of Ted Lieu.
Were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with
Ted Lieu is savage.
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect.
The victims are being treated horribly
from all the great things Donald Trump has done.
Okay, now here is the host saying what's most shocking is the age of some of these models that would go to these Trump events. Here, play this clip.
We've spoken to a number of sources who saw Donald Trump at the parties. Most paint a similar picture.
Just describe to us the way Donald Trump behaved at these parties.
I mean, this guy was... It was like a predator in action.
I went to the washroom, and I was going in, and a girl was coming out, and she kind of looked at me, and I go, "Have you talked to that Trump guy?" And she goes, "Yeah." As I was walking by, he's like trying to grab my ass.
We do know that he was having sex with them.
How do you know that?
Because the next day or days after we
and that's exactly what I want, is to make sure there are no new victims created. So by knowing the individuals that did things,
maybe 1 or 2 girls
at least they're on the radar.
Which is what he loved to do.
So just get the info out there.
There's no evidence that Donald Trump slept with underage girls. But what's most shocking is the age of some of the models at the parties.
There was girls, I would say 14, 15 years old, from Europe, the European girls.
They were 14 or 15?
There were girls that were 14, 15 years old, for sure. I mean, I didn't run up and say, "How old are you?" But they looked younger than I was, and I was 17.
French Revolution,
because of what they were wearing and how they would hold themselves.
Yeah, the fact that Kash Patel came out and was like, well, there's no evidence that he trafficked or blackmailed to anybody. Yeah, it was just all him. He was trafficking to himself. Nah.
And you saw Donald Trump with these girls who were that young, 15, 16?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they're standing around with them.
I ain't buying it.
It was just disgusting. I felt like I was in the presence of a shark we're getting ready to roll his eyes back in his head and bite me. You know, that's how I felt. It was just like, get the hell out of here.
All right, now here's another clip from that documentary. Barbara Pilling, the narrator, talks about how Barbara Pilling was a young model from New York. Just watch for yourself.
Barbara Pilling was a young model in New York. She first saw Donald Trump at a party in the late 80s. She's never spoken publicly about it before.
He said, how old are you? And I said, 17. He goes, oh, great. So
that is a perfect statement for this subject.
Not too young. That's just great. I remember one of the waitresses offered him a drink. He didn't take the drink, and he slapped her bottom. She was a blonde. He gave her about a slap knee, and he was very loud. He's like, don't worry, that's not your tip.
I want to see that in action.
Heather Braden also saw Donald Trump at model parties in the 90s. One was in Florida. At 23, she was one of the oldest women there.
I remember particularly seeing him at a party at a house in Miami. This particular party, there were 4 men and probably 50 models.
4 men and 50 models.
That's approximately what I would remember. And I was
Thank
one
you,
of the models.
Change Box. Appreciate
I mean, I
you.
felt like I was in some, I could have been very well being auctioned off in some sort of a sex slave ring. That's how I felt. I felt like a piece of meat in a meat market. I mean, what else could I feel like?
Okay. Then they talk about what would go down in the beauty pageants. Here, play this clip.
I remember being in the back and hearing the chaperones say, ladies, listen up. We've got someone that's going to come in and see you. Make sure you're at least covered up. All of the girls were changing, getting their bras and underwear on and getting ready to put on
him
their
admitting to this
opening
was
number
crazy.
outfits.
Like on Howard Stern, to have to tell people the kind of person that you're dealing with that wants to walk into changing rooms of women,
Donald Trump came in.
knowing full well he's not welcome in there.
15?
Yes, 15 years old.
Now, next I want to share with you what Miss North Carolina from 2006 said about Donald Trump. This is when Don Lemon was on CNN. This was back during the first time Donald Trump ran. Here's what, again, Miss North Carolina 2006 had to say. Play this clip.
Is it normal to see
We're just
men
living with
in
redactions
dressing
now.
rooms at pageants and the owner of the pageant?
No.
The look on her
The
face.
director of the North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, and Alabama pageants, it's very much a family atmosphere. She doesn't even go backstage
that's
when the
not
girls are
gonna
getting
stop
ready.
being funny.
Only the female chaperones are allowed backstage in the dressing rooms with the girls. I've never had an experience where there were men or directors or anything like that walking back in the dressing rooms.
Yeah. As I understand, there you have an experience of something that happened the night before the pageant?
Well, not the night before the pageant, but when we were in New York City on the media tour, they were doing a book launch at Trump Towers for the Universal Beauty book, and they had a bunch of former Miss USAs and Miss Universes and all 51 of us, and we did the red carpet, and that was tons of fun. And then
Dude,
they
I had to
lined us all
screenshot
up,
that to keep it in
and
my
Trump
phone.
went down the
I had to
line,
walk
and he
outside
shook
because
your
I was
hand
laughing
and,
so hard.
looked you over, looked you up and down, head to toe, and was just checking everybody out.
Where's my phone?
And you thought, you felt?
I felt very dirty. It was very creepy. It's kind of like when you're at a bar and a creepy guy is checking you out. That was the experience for me.
We're a year into the new administration, and it's getting harder to read the news and see the continued attacks on our First Amendment freedoms daily. Now is the time to look for helpers, those who are strategically fighting.
Get to the clips. So, yeah, might type, I'm so sick of women not realizing how hard dating is for guys in the U.S. The minute you turn 12, you're now competing with fully grown billionaires for girls your age. How the fuck am I not banned on this platform? I'm dead.
In. There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything. Some girls were topless, other girls were naked.
As Miss Arizona 2001, Tasha Dixon competed in the Miss USA pageant. Donald Trump owned the contest along with Miss Universe and Miss Teen USA
That
for 19
statement had
years.
me on the floor.
First
Like,
introduction
it started
to him
off
was
like,
when
oh,
we were
what's
at
he
the
trying
dress
to? Oh,
rehearsal
gee.
and half naked, changing into our bikinis. To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him.
And Dixon has strong opinions about what she thinks were Trump's motivations.
I'm telling you, Donald Trump owned the pageant for the reason to utilize his power to get, around beautiful women.
Dixon, who lives in West Hollywood, was 18 at the time.
Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
The year she competed, the theme was empowering women. And after hearing recent audio of Trump talking about women, she decided to speak out.
I miss Arizona, so I veer more on the conservative side. But I just like
people that act like this is about power.
Choose what's
and
right.
When you look at like I've heard people complaining about like the dating scene for people in their 20s and whatnot, and like dudes complaining that they can't get girls and this and that. And like I get it, but the idea that the dating scene is so skewed that a lot of men, older men, are looking for women in their 20s, whereas women that are in their 40s and 50s are looking for men in their 40s and 50s. So the pool that people are working with is completely skewed when it comes down to the way the world works. I mean, you could, you just don't care to.
Now, you know what Donald Trump said, though, right? I mean, he's on audio with Howard Stern saying that when you own beauty pageants the way he does, that he thinks that he's entitled to go in
I'm
and
staying out of it in
and
all
look at the
aspects
girls naked.
people
That's
are
what
crazy.
you do. And by the way, remember the people's ages at these beauty pageants: 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe some in their 20s, but by and large, very young girls at Trump's pageants. And Trump says at the pageants, he looks at the girls naked. Remember what he said? Play this clip.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation
Exactly, change
to do
box.
that.
So you have done.
What do they think we
I'll
are?
tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready.
Yeah,
and
the dating
everything
game's
else, and
crazy
no men
now.
are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything
doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like.
All right, and remember how Donald Trump treated Alicia Machado, who won Miss Universe? Remember back then? Here, play this clip.
For the first time in the history of the pageant, viewers can actually participate. There'll be a question up, and the viewers
You're
can actually
welcome
call
to
in and
leave
vote.
now.
Let's bring up the question. It says, should a pageant title
well,
holder
you go
be
and do
required
that.
to maintain
I'm just here
her
chilling.
physical appearance during her reign? Why do you think this is an important question the viewers would care about?
Well, it's something that really has come up over the last year, and Alicia has done an incredible job. She really has turned out to be one of the great Miss Universes, I will say. And she had a little problem during the middle where she gained a little weight.
I don't think so.
Yeah, she's probably
Trump
right.
talking about people gaining weight. This
And
fat
so-
ass.
Let's talk about that debate because it's interesting. The viewers are going to make a decision today, and they're going to vote in one way or the other. Alicia, do you think that should matter? Because after all, you were voted in as being the most beautiful woman in the world.
I am the most beautiful woman in the world.
I certainly don't
With
doubt
20
that.
pounds or no pounds, I am the most beautiful woman in the world.
Do you not think that it's important to maintain a certain look during that year?
Yes, of course, but I think all women in the world have a problem with the weight.
Right.
And I think maybe I had some problem with this, but
I mean, Jenny, all
I'm
people
fine
are a
now.
problem.
And I think 15 pounds is nothing with 20 years old. And
That's
I
why I
think
steer
the most
clear.
important
But
for the next Miss Universe, and then
if you
is
invite me to
no
dinner, I'll probably
more,
never leave.
Dinners, no more lunch, no more breakfast, and no more when you travel diplomatic dinners and
Right. I think
parties.
what Donald's talking about, and I think most people agree, that there is a look to Miss
And
Universe.
more time for go to the gym. It's very important because when you are Miss Universe, you don't have time for nothing.
Right.
I
Donald, how
mean,
do you
like,
think that
when it comes down
this
to
Miss Universe will be different from the others?
these,
Well, I don't know that it's going to be
like
different.
these
We
women
have
starve
many beautiful
themselves
women, and
throughout the
it's actually
duration of getting
incredible.
ready
I
for
was
these
over there today, and
pageants.
the women are
Then if they
magnificent.
win, they get
So I don't
taken
think
to
it's gonna be different. It's
dinners.
gonna be more
They
of
get
the
all
same.
kind of perks. Of
And
course,
just to
they might
make
gain a
you
little weight.
remember,
People
too,
gain
or have
weight.
you remember the
Like
first time
imagining
Donald
that
Trump
an
ran,
IFBB pro
right,
is going to
when
stay at the same
the
weight
statements came out
year
where he
round.
said grab
Like,
women
that's
by
not
their
healthy.
vaginas, and when you're rich you get away with it. Remember, he said he grabbed them by, he used the P word. He
try to relax,
he
my
then
dude.
didn't attend the beauty pageant in Louisiana, and you could see the relief on the people.
This right here.
On the contestants when Trump was not going to show up. Here, watch this.
This clip
that Donald Trump announced on
should tell you
Twitter
everything.
he would not be here for the pageant tonight. How does that change things for you guys?
Thank you, Jenny.
And I'm sorry, something interrupted me. I'm wondering if that changes anything as far as the pageant goes tonight, or as far as the brand of the pageant tonight.
These women are downright giddy that he's not showing up.
3 weeks ago, this pageant is an opportunity to be about the women and the city, and that's what we're focusing on. And you know what? It's good for us that we're just focusing full steam ahead. It hasn't really changed because that's all we've been doing for the last few days. And I know that there's a big campaign going on out
I don't
west,
believe
and we're
beauty standards are
focusing here.
universal among people, but there is a
we also have
mainstream
Donald Trump
beauty standard,
talking
which
about
I don't think fits most people's sensibilities. So people try to look that way, and I think
she may have just been turning
it's
18,
pretty messed up.
or she may have been
that
17
people have
years
that kind
old.
of pressure on
Lindsay
them.
Lohan, the actress. Donald Trump said that she's very disturbed, mentally ill, and he says he loves to have sex with mentally ill people. He goes, they're the best in bed when they have mental illness, he said. This is what he bragged about. And I think she was 17 here. She may have been 18, but she was very young. Let's play this clip.
Yes, but you have to like freckles. I've seen a close up of her chest. Yes. And a lot of freckles. Are you into freckles? If the father's a wreck like the way he is. Right. You imagine the sex with this troubled? Yeah, you're probably right. She's probably deeply troubled and therefore great in bed. Back in the day. How come the deeply troubled women? Yes. Deeply troubled. Right. They're always the best in bed.
And then Donald Trump talked
That's
about
why him and
how
Kid Rock get along.
attractive he thought Paris Hilton was when she was 12 years old. Again, just pulling out the receipts, things that he said. Play this clip.
I've known Paris Hilton from the time she's 12.
She's hot.
Her parents are friends of mine, and the first time I saw her, she walked into the room and said, "Who the hell is that?"
Exactly.
She's well, at 12 I was.
And that standard changes from decade to decade, but
always stuck around that 25.
it consistently seems to be pretty unhealthy.
I saw her at 12. She was beautiful, but honestly, Paris gets knocked and this and that, but she's very beautiful. Is she dumb? Flawless. She's dumb like a fox.
Have you seen the video, the sex video?
I have seen it.
You did. What'd you do? You went on the internet?
it was just
How did you see that? What did you do?
Melania showed it to me.
She did?
She showed it to me.
What did you think of that?
I think it's probably unfortunate, and perhaps it made.
And this was the speech that Donald Trump gave.
Like, honestly, anybody that was going to be voting for Trump should have been listening to what he said when he was on Howard Stern's show.
Young Republicans.
That's what I did when I heard he was running. I'm like, let me refresh myself on what kind of person this is.
So 16, 17, 18 through about 21, maybe some older, but the young Republicans, right? And then Trump said that when he called sexually assaulting women locker room talk, that was the most courageous act of his life. He said that was when he showed the most courage. This is what he said in his own words. I mean, I'm not paraphrasing it. Just listen, listen to it for yourself. Here, play this clip.
But I went onto that stage just a few days later, and a general who's a fantastic general actually said to me, "Sir, I've been on the battlefield. Men have gone down on my left and on my right. I stood on hills where soldiers were killed. But I believe the bravest thing I've ever seen was the night you went onto that stage with Hillary Clinton after what happened. And then that woman asked you the first question about it. And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What the hell? What are you talking?
And he knows a lot about locker rooms.
That was not a great...
And here's the video where Donald Trump was speaking at a high school. And at the high school, he talked about being peed on or being urinated on by hookers. And he goes, I don't like that. He goes, they call it golden showers. I don't like those.
Narrator, no one ever
Here,
said
play this clip.
He was with 4 hookers. You think that was good that night to go up and tell my wife, it's not true, darling. I love you very much. It's not true. Actually, that
He's talking about hookers in front of a high school class.
He's not into that, He's not into golden showers, as they say they call that. He's not. I don't like that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big
He's
problem.
sitting there
I was gonna have a
reminiscing.
rough night, but that one she was very good on. She said, no.
right? I mean, some real deranged, grotesque behavior. You have those receipts. You see why the regime is angry at us for showing you those receipts. But judge for yourself. And do me a favor. As I said, this channel is so close to 6 million subscribers. Help us hit 6 million. We're grateful for you. Thank you so much for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today.
So some more news.
Hey everybody, before I do the thing, this episode is brought to you by Ground News. Okay, now I'm gonna do the thing. Here's the thing. Oh yeah!
I should have time to
did
get
it,
through
folks.
this.
I didn't
You know,
think
it's an
we'd
hour.
make it. It's real touch and go for a while, but we did it. I have so many people to thank. Myself mostly. Also people who aren't myself, like you. You should like and subscribe to thank me who did it. Like all of you did it. And by it, I mean we got through 2026. Happy New Year, folks! Oh, wowee. And what a year it has been. It feels like 10 years, am I right? I haven't
But
actually...
yeah, before we get completely into this, like literally all across the world, people are going down over what's in the Epstein files. Like, I believe Norway has a politician going down. There's multiple politicians going down in the UK. The fact that we're not doing anything here in America shows just how close to home whatever is in those files are, and it needs to come out. And I am waiting for it. I got popcorn chilling so I can watch the revelations as they come out, and I cannot wait.
looked at a calendar in like 5 or 20 years, but I know a year when I feel one, and it's absolutely been 1 year since the start of 2026. Therefore, continuing to not look at a calendar, I have determined that it is time to celebrate and look back at all the wacky news misadventures we had in 2026. The longest year ever. Hit it, Mick! Looking back at 2026,
Oh yeah,
the
there was something
longest
Ike
year
wanted me to
ever.
play.
Classic Mick. I'm not having a nervous breakdown. Everyone keeps saying I'm having one of those, so I wanted to get that out of the way. But yes, I know what you're all thinking, and I'll just admit it here at the top of the video. Mick doesn't actually exist. I made him up for tax reasons. Oh my, tax season, am I right? Glad it's the end of the year and I don't have to think about that.
it.
Anyway, 2026. A lot happened. I mean, we probably can't even talk about all of this stuff. So let's focus on the big stories. Starting with that time we did the thing that America always does. You know the one. Operation Venezuela Freedom from oil.
Oh, Jenny, what is epoxy?
Wow. Do you remember the invasion? I mean, I guess it was only a year ago, but it feels
looks like a donut.
centuries. Back at the start of 2026, the United States military invaded Venezuela and abducted its president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, Mrs. Maduro. Maduro is now in prison in New York City facing terrorism and drug trafficking charges by the Department of Justice. It was one of those things that everyone kind of knew was gonna happen, including ourselves. That's because during the back half of 2025, the US built up one of the largest armadas of warships off the coast of Venezuela and conducted dozens of lethal strikes on alleged drug boats crossing the Pacific Ocean. So far, killing 130 people. Wow, remember all the boat strikes? Did we ever get to the bottom
Those letters
of
don't
those?
even go together. I'm so
Except loved
confused.
posting about our regular kinetic strikes on possibly fishing boats. Anyway, Trump and all his little pals spent months ratcheting up the rhetoric against Maduro, claiming without evidence that he was a major narco drug trafficker that needed to be stopped at all
And yet
costs.
they can show no drugs.
Remember
How does that work?
Write it down. Meanwhile, based on reporting from inside the White House, everyone seemed to have their own personal reasons for why they wanted Maduro out. Stephen Miller wanted control over Venezuela to forcibly stop the flow of migrants into the United States because he's a racist.
Heavier than a
Secretary of
donut?
State
'Cause it
Marco
looks like
Rubio wanted to
a
hurt
jelly
the country's
donut.
relationship with Cuba because he's had beef with them for a while. And Trump wanted Venezuela's oil because he's Trump and likes money and thinks oil equals money. It probably didn't help that when initially asked to exile himself and step down as president, Maduro refused and hosted this press
Yeah,
conference.
I can't think of anywhere they actually sell those here.
No war. Just No a la guerra loca.
I've never seen Latin people with more atrocious rhythm.
Crazy girl, no.
Not trying to victim blame or anything. I'm just pointing out that Trump, a very petty and
Oh,
stupid man,
okay. Yeah, I saw
probably
people
took
with
to that poorly. Maduro, by all accounts,
black
seems to
crosses
be
on
a
their
bad
foreheads
leader and
today
an
when I went to
asshole.
Costco.
And then we have Trump, also a bad leader and an asshole, getting mad about it. And maybe they should have just met somewhere between the two countries, Haiti, I guess, and had a fist fight about it. I would have watched that, but instead we invaded a country and kidnapped their leader.
I don't
And
even know what
remember,
Shrove Tuesday
officially,
is.
This is all because Maduro and his administration have been,
I have to look
according
this
to
up.
Trump, trafficking drugs to the United States. That's our WMDs here. And immediately after we took Maduro, the promise from
Okay,
Trump was
Shrove
that we were going
Tuesday,
to bring
also
down
known as
that entire
Pancake Day or Mardi
administration.
Gras. Oh,
Because of the
that's why
promise,
Shia
of
LaBeouf got beat
course.
up.
We're going to run
The
the
final
country
day
until such
before
time
feasting before the
as
Christian
we can
fasting
do a
period of
safe,
Lent begins
proper,
on
and
Ash Wednesday.
judicious
Time for
transition.
confession, shriving,
Venezuela has the world's
and using up
largest
rich
oil
ingredients like
reserves.
eggs, butter,
We're going
sugar
to be
by
taking
making
out a
pancakes.
tremendous amount of
Okay.
wealth out of the ground.
Okay.
Fat
well,
Tuesday, literally.
Oops. I guess he's already forgotten about the drugs, especially since we did not, in fact, take over Venezuela and facilitate a transition of power.
Yeah, my
Instead,
family was
the
Baptist, so I
country is
know
now being
very little
run by
about Catholic
Maduro's
traditions.
Vice President Delcy Rodriguez.
They
let's
just from the outside
take a
look
moment
really
to sit with
weird.
that. Trump and all his buds have been saying that Maduro is this terrible and vicious leader who has been sending drugs to our country. And then we just nabbed him and let his VP run the country instead. Because I guess she's not all those things they said Maduro was. His vice president? Surely she's reasonable. You know how when we took out Saddam, we just left his second in command in power? And he was all like, oh yeah, I hated that guy. Thanks. You get my point.
Dude looked like
Delcy
Heisenberg.
Rodriguez represents the exact same regime that Maduro ran. The same regime that has disappeared political opposition and rigged elections. They're all still in control of every facet of Venezuela's government. Heck, this doesn't
Funny we
even
don't hear
match
much
up
about
with the
Venezuela
drug
now.
trafficking excuse because she is also tied to drug trafficking. At least the same amount that Maduro was. Which is to say, not that much to begin with. It's just really insulting when you think about it. Trump claimed that he was concerned about Venezuela trafficking drugs into the United States and talked about how bad Maduro's leadership was, and then never actually bothered to do the thing where you pretend to change that. He just immediately started talking about oil because, as everyone knew, this was always about controlling Venezuela's resources and reasserting U.S. dominance over rivaling foreign powers. And despite Maduro's vice president talking a big game, I'm guessing she is willing to play ball lest she be kidnapped too. So
Yeah,
they
that's what
just
they're doing.
let her stay in power to do all the bad stuff they said they were there to stop. My feelings are complicated, to be clear. I'm not supportive of the United States going to other countries, kidnapping their leaders, and then forcing that country to pick new leadership. But I'm also not supportive of the United States going to other countries, kidnapping their leaders, and then just bouncing so their vice president is forced to take over.
Exactly.
My feelings aren't complicated, actually.
It's the worst
It's just
regime change I've
so
ever seen.
brazen that even we didn't think this specific thing would happen. War with Venezuela, sure, but not kidnapping the guy and leaving. In our last episode on Venezuela, we assumed that Trump would hand the country over to Venezuela's opposition party, led by Maria Corina Machado, on account of her openly cheering on the military aggression by the Trump administration, personally flattering Trump at every opportunity, and bragging to the investor class that a Maduro-free Venezuela would bust open that delicious money spigot.
We will open Venezuela for foreign investment. I am talking about a $1.7 trillion opportunity. Not only
Yeah, no,
oil
it's
and
not.
gas, which is huge, and you know that the opportunities because we will open all upstream.
The oil
midstream,
companies don't want it.
downstream
It's
to all
low-grade
companies,
crude,
but also in
and there's no
mining,
guarantee that
in
they'll be able to
gold,
maintain their operations
infrastructure,
depending on what the regime does.
If you recall, she even gave her own Nobel Peace Prize to Trump, who proudly accepted it like a rich kid getting a Most Beautiful Fancy Boy award from his au pair. And maybe I'm in the minority here, but while this is cosmically embarrassing for Trump, It's far worse for Machado, since Trump absolutely did not give her power in Venezuela. In fact, that's so funny that it actually cancels out the embarrassment. Trump gleefully took this lady's peace prize, posed on camera doing it, and then gave her nothing in return. That is incredible. And it's 100% on Machado, considering that everyone should know at this point, in late 2026, that Donald Trump uses people. He uses people up until he needs to dump them, like he has for so many people who have worked for him and supported him, which includes everyone,
Pam Bondi's
from world
next.
leaders to everyday citizens.
I hope
and
she gets
he doesn't
disbarred.
even hide it anymore in his let's say, more advanced years. Trump really seems to have lost his filter. Like a toddler at a dinner party, his garbage mouth just dumps out the last thing he was thinking or heard. So he's just like, well, we want the oil. We take the oil, folks. And everyone just kind of accepts that, since they also want the oil. Because, as we've noted several times, what we did in Venezuela
the oil is not
isn't
quite as
exactly
important.
new. We're just not usually this overt about it. What Trump did is essentially a callback to the Monroe Doctrine. That was, as one imagines,
all everybody
a
was saying at the
doctrine
time.
spearheaded by President James Monroe in 1823. It served as a warning to European nations to quit propping up puppet monarchs in countries that surrounded the U.S. Not because we thought it was immoral to do, but because we wanted to puppet those nations. Stay out of
Like, basically,
our
their
hemisphere,
resources are
damn it.
ours.
That's ours. Subsequent
our
presidents
resources
like
are
Theodore
ours.
Roosevelt extended that doctrine as a justification to invade Latin American countries in order to safeguard American business interests and keep European colonists out. We love this idea that if we don't invade a country, then some other country will do it anyway. So we best do it first. For security. And Trump, being the garbage-mouthed toddler that he is now just saying we're gonna do a bigger and better version with the explicit goal of dominating the Western Hemisphere.
The Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot.
By a real
They now
lot.
call it the Donroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort
Marco
of forgot
Rubio's
about
face.
it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the
Yeah,
Western
we wanted
Hemisphere
Trump because no more
will
foreign
never
wars
be
or
questioned
involvement.
again.
Did he just rename it?
We steal a
the
president.
Don Rowe Document? There's something deeply grotesque about the image of somebody watching this in South America and hearing the very stupid president slur through how he wants to invade their country based on a thing he clearly just learned about. Like, it's not enough that we're gonna do imperialism, but we can't even do it articulately. That's where I draw the line. Whatever, not the most pressing concern. Anyway, in an interview with the New York Times, Trump said there are no bounds or constraints to his own power beyond my own morality, my own mind. It's the
Ooh.
only thing that can stop me.
That is
And,
terrifying.
That's a concerning thing to say for many reasons. He's talking like Morpheus. Dare I speculate, it seems like the president is losing his goddamn motherfucking mind. I suspect he suspects that he's
True.
going to die pretty soon, possibly because of some unreported health reasons. And he seems desperate to get his name on something that will last beyond his years. Be that the Don Rowe Document, or the Kennedy Center, or Greenland. Oh boy, the Greenland stuff. That brings me back because, hey,
Yeah, that worked
remember
out
how
great.
Venezuela wasn't even the only country we bullied this year? Let's go to a break for ads, and then when we return, we will reach back into this wet and wild year and talk about another place we wanted to invade. Happy New Year! Welcome back, folks. Boy, 2026. What a year. Glad
This
it's
year's
almost
already
over. We were
bonkers.
just remembering how Trump briefly invaded another country and kidnapped their president for reasons he didn't actually care about or follow up on, and then just said he wanted the oil because he wanted the oil. Like the aforementioned toddler just pawing at everything he sees at the supermarket. A man looking for something, anything to stamp his name on to ensure some kind of flaccid little legacy before he moves along, if you catch my drift. Enjoys his sunset years. Takes a trip to the old fiery basement, if you get
I don't want him to leave JD Vance in
dies and goes to
charge.
hell. And while most shitty old dudes just try to like reconcile with their kids or get their name put on the park bench they like to masturbate on, Trump is taking a slightly different approach. Greenland 2, Migration.
Yeah, I
You
sincerely
just
think
used the
it can
title
be
of that
worse.
movie. What of it? It's good. I haven't seen it. I will not. So Trump used the momentum of toppling Venezuela to renew his calls to take over the Danish territory of Greenland, telling reporters, if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. Unless he's talking about an erection that he may or may not be able to achieve these days, one assumes the hard way entails going to war with NATO, a group of European countries that have been our allies since World War II. He has since, as the press says, softened on this, presumably because somebody in the room with him realized this was bad, told him that, and somebody who thought it was good wasn't the most recent person to talk to him. Also, it
The
doesn't help
president
that
lacks
NATO
object permanence.
absolutely didn't
Great.
go along with his plan, to which Trump gave a very stern rebuke during his visit to Davos.
Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right? Last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being.
Okay, seriously, what the f*** is he talking
I
about?
have no idea what he's
Iceland?
talking about.
Daddy? Oh, look, I know I'm not pioneering thought here, but can we not get rid of this guy as our president? It seems bad to have someone in charge who's both bloodthirsty and incoherent. It's like giving a rabid squirrel a pilot's license. Certainly, we can do better here. We then got the fucking press secretary trying to lie and say that, actually, Greenland is a piece of ice, so the very smart president didn't misspeak. Holy shit. Reportedly, literally, Iceland, the country,
People
got
sandwashing this
confused and thought
nonsense.
he was threatening them as well. Like, holy goddamn shit. I don't know if I've said the word embarrassing enough, so I'll say it again. Embarrassment. Fucking. I'll do better next time.
I hate that I missed that.
In, I guess, fairness, Trump did use this speech to walk back the threat of using force to acquire Greenland. Sort of. Technically.
We probably
A little
won't
bit.
get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that.
Like, Greenland doesn't have a military for
Now
that.
everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland where we already had it. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember.
Right.
What is
They
this?
could use force, but they won't. But they could. And if they did, it would be forceful. But they won't. We just want a place called Greenland. We're not asking for much. And if we don't get it, we will remember. Man, it still kind of sounds like he's going to use
Crazy
force.
talk.
Kind of hard to tell when you're dealing with someone who is regularly incoherent and constantly changes his stances. Seems like a bad president. By the way, there's no clear reason why we would need Greenland. The administration says the U.S. needs Greenland for the security and protection of the Western Hemisphere. But we already have a military base on Greenland.
True.
We've had a military presence on Greenland since 1953.
And they're cooperative.
And I'm sure NATO
We just
would
want their
allow us to
resources.
have a larger presence if we weren't threatening to invade them. The Trump administration has also been
There it
transparent
is.
that the U.S. needs access to the rare earth minerals stored deep under the Greenland tundra. Let's say that's true. We need the minerals for our stupid as f*** trucks. But we actually don't need to own Greenland in order to mine those minerals. Greenland, at least up to this point, is already open for business to American industries. American mining companies could likely get permits right now and mine, but likely don't because Greenland is an incredibly harsh environment. It takes a massive amount of capital and infrastructure just to get started. Could Trump offer billions of taxpayer dollars to get mining companies started? Sure, but is that worth going through the pains of bullying a country out of its land? I'd say no, but
I'm going to say the moves that he made them more
the other guy
open to dealing with Russia and China.
I just needed to be clear how
when
Trump
it comes down
not
to the
only
rare earth
speaking
minerals.
gibberish, but also acting gibberish. He's a guy at the bar getting into fights for no discernible reason. Perhaps
he literally
simply
destroys
saw
negotiations
those
before they
Greenland
even
movies
start.
Recently, I don't know. I suspect it's what I said before. Actually, I suspect it's mostly because he actually does believe in climate change, and they're like, well, we'll wait a little while in Greenland. It'll be easier to be there eventually because the climate change is real. But also, it's mostly because Trump is blindly grasping for some kind of legacy, something to put his name on. He tried to do the wall, but that didn't really pan out. Like Ben Stiller in There's Something About Mary, his ballroom has hit some snags. He wanted Canada briefly, and still does, it seems. He recently posted an AI image of the Western Hemisphere draped in red, white, and blue. Seems like a f***ed up thing for a president to do. Trump clearly thought that being the president was going to be like in the movies, giving big important speeches and shooting down alien spaceships with Randy Quaid's help. But all he ended up with was that very last part. He saw Obama sashay his big dick on TV and announce that they killed Osama bin Laden. He saw Bush strut around at Ground Zero and do a big important war. He maybe realized tossing some paper towels wasn't going to cut it. And it never occurred to him that there's a lot of boring stuff presidents have to do with, like, the economy and domestic agendas and legislation and all the actual leadership junk. He just wants his big presidential moment, his golden prize being handed to him. And the clock is ticking. And it feels like, since he can't get credit for saving America, he could settle for being the guy who destroyed it.
In a text message to Norway's prime minister yesterday, Trump said, quote, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation
What
to
8 wars?
Peace.
That just about sums it all up. If he can't get his award, then he's gonna take it. Burn bridges on behalf of the entire country. Our relationship with NATO is very long-lasting and consequential. It's not like changing the design of the Oval Office. I'm not saying it can't ever be changed, but it certainly shouldn't be destroyed on a whim by one guy for no discernible reason beyond his petty dying brain.
Pretty
It's
much.
hard to remember this, but we technically hired Trump to do a specific job. I mean, I didn't
What was
hire
that
him,
job?
but the country did, I guess. We gave him the keys to our car with the assumption that he'd drive us somewhere good, and now he's trying to take the doors off the hinges and sell the engine. In fact, he hates the car, it seems.
Reasonable analogy.
He and his weird little helpers seem to have disdain for the fundamental concept of America. Recently, Trump's pocket monster, Stephen Miller, floated the idea of having, like, slaves? Saying, quote, plenty of countries in history have experimented with importing a foreign labor class.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the bit on this
West
show is
the
that he's
first and
basically
only
chained to the desk.
civilization to import a foreign labor class that is granted full political rights, including welfare and the right to vote. All visas are a bridge to citizenship. So first of all, I'm going to reiterate what he said there. Plenty of countries in history have experimented with importing a foreign labor class.
Stephen
He's talking
Miller
about
is the
slavery.
worst.
He's talking about importing foreign labor class and making them slaves.
What's good, Bird Brains? Welcome to the
That's what he's
chat.
talking about. Then he added, in America, for generations now, the policy has been that anyone who would economically benefit from moving to the U.S. can do so, exercise the franchise in the U.S., and their children, the moment they are born, will be full American citizens with all the rights and benefits therein.
Dude,
So
someone
aside
needs to
from
take
bringing
care
up
of
that
his coffin.
Historically,
Just
other countries
get him out of
in the
here.
past have imported a foreign
All
labor
of them.
force that they didn't give rights to Wonder what he's talking about there. He's also describing and criticizing the literal American dream. He's pointing out the American dream that anyone can come
If I
here
ever
and
meet
prosper,
Stephen Miller, I'm
including
bringing steaks
himself.
and garlic.
And he's like, ew, no. They hate America. They hate that America has to work within peaceful
Chilling, watching some more
boundaries.
news.
They hate that America is a melting pot that has prospered for centuries off of immigration and multiculturalism. The people running our country do not care for this country. And that, of course, brings us to the third invasion.
They don't like the thing that made the country
the
great
one
in
where
the first
we invaded
place.
the United States' true enemy, the United States. Battle, Minneapolis.
I mean, they say that,
Remember
but
Battle Los Angeles? I don't.
they're literally destroying
Didn't see it,
America
won't
as we
see it.
know it.
But remember Minneapolis? I do. Let's talk about it. How ICE kidnapped all those people and beat those people and pepper sprayed those people.
That's what it's
flashbanged
supposed to
a
be,
baby
Changebox.
And shot and killed some people and went around dressed as the villains in a Call of Duty game. And people were debating whether or not that was all bad. What a year. What a year. Now, before we get into some of the horrific incidents and crimes
Not
committed
wrong
by
there.
ICE
It has
and
happened
Border
on
Patrol
both
in the
ends of the
last
spectrum.
month, I mean, 10
For
months ago or
decades.
11 months ago, whatever it is. I think it's important to remember one of the reasons why it happened in the first place. Specifically with this guy.
And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell? Try to get in, rang the doorbell, nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their
This
sign,
dude.
yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here right
I mean,
here
I'm more
has
scared that
generated
JD Vance becomes the
millions of
president because
dollars,
Trump kicks
and
off.
It seems like business isn't even open right now.
It gives me a sense of
This is
dread.
Nick Shirley, some YouTube prank style turd who got tired of slop prank tubing and now pushes far-right propaganda slop for dumb racist people. That clip was from a 45-minute deep dive video where Nick claims to have found a lucrative billion-dollar fraud operation perpetrated by the Somalian community within Minneapolis. In the video,
Even to consider
Nick
that this dude
visits
making
9
that
daycare
video has
centers that
caused
receive federal
at least
funds,
2 Americans
focusing on the
to
ones
die.
operated by Somali Americans. In one instance, Nick lies to staff members at a daycare center, telling them that he wants to enroll his fictitious son.
Are you a news reporter? My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here. Because there's
asking us about
the fraud. Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to a legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. Yeah. But that's our number and you have to call. But this is we can't let you guys use so.
Okay, thank you. So once again, little Joey, he can't even go to daycare, and now they won't even accept him if he has autism.
Very stupid stuff. Throughout that
What does
video,
that have to
he
do with
often
anything?
points out that he can't see into the centers, or that he doesn't see children, or was denied by the front desk staff members from entering the childcare facilities,
Like,
and that
dude,
this is somehow proof
at least
that
reasonable
these centers
journalism.
are fraudulent. You know how daycares normally let random childless guys with cameras come in and check out the children? Again, very stupid and obvious liar. Prank tube stuff. In fact, one daycare center operator told the Washington Post, rest in peace, that they didn't open the door for Nick because he was accompanied by 6 or 7 other men with masks on and suspected that they might be from ICE. Dudes with masks on. And he's all like, geez, why isn't anyone letting us in? Must be fraud, not very malevolent of them.
That
But
whole Nick
despite
Shirley
this
thing was
video
getting
being very
broadcasted
obviously stupid
to so
and a
many people
lie
and
by a
caused
dipshit who's
ICE to
stupid
end up
and a
in
liar,
that
Nick's
city
video got the attention
not
of
long
the right
afterward.
thanks to
Here
a
it
few
is.
things. 1, racism. 2, local prick and Vice President JD Vance tweeted it out saying that Shirley deserves a
This guy.
Pulitzer Prize. But 3,
JD Vance
he's grifting
has
off of a
the
real
capability
problem
to be
Minnesota
20
has
times
been
worse
dealing
than Trump.
with. Specifically, fraudulent activity within their federally subsidized daycare program, among others, over the last decade or so. In 2019, state investigators found around $6 million worth of fraudulent activity, and the state attorney general ended up
It's hard to
prosecuting
tell the
around a
difference,
dozen
Change
people
Box.
for defrauding the state's child care program. Is there still some fraud happening in the state? Yes, a 2025
I mean, there's not a
report
state
by
where
the
there's not
Department of
fraud
Health and Human
going on.
Services found that
Do an
errors
audit.
in payment occurred at 11% of the centers of the 1,155 they surveyed in 2023. Of course, the existence of errors in payment doesn't necessarily mean there was fraud, but overall, Minnesota has been very openly dealing with fraud cases, the same way other
it's called
states
transparency
are also
in an
dealing
audit.
with fraud. It's the same
Multiple
thing that
states are
Doge
doing
did.
it.
Find fraud that was already being investigated or prosecuted and patting themselves on the back for exposing the secret fraud. It's not a secret being blown open. But of course, Nick was banking off of that other reason I mentioned, the racism reason, by putting the Somali American community at the center
My
of this
apologies,
issue.
I did not
Nick's
announce. I
main
was
source
running
in
short
the
on
video
time,
is
so
this
I just
guy,
started the
David
stream
Hoke,
up.
a prominent GOP lobbyist in Minnesota with connections to Republican lawmakers in the state house. Hoke's now deleted social media posts include racist bangers such as
Trump's just mad that they're
Somali in
grifting harder than
Minnesota
he
is
is.
engaged in fraud. All of them. And
Jeez.
even the blacks have had enough of the demon Muslims. So there you go. A dumb guy teaming up with a racist guy who's also a dumb guy to make a Project Veritas level scam video for the clicks. A video only a stupid person or racist liar
there's a
would
word for
promote,
that.
which, on a related note, happened. As we mentioned, stupid racist liar JD Vance would go on to share this video on that racist liar website, saying that the video, again, deserved a Pulitzer Prize. And then, about a week later, his administration would send an extra 2,000 immigration
There it
officers
is.
into Minneapolis to ramp up the harassment and terrorizing of its citizens. It also doesn't help that the President of the United States is a deeply racist dude who has expressed open disdain for the Somali American community, specifically targeting Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar.
The stepped-up enforcement, dubbed Operation Metro Surge, follows President Trump's repeated attacks on Minnesota's Somali community.
They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Their country stinks.
The president also singled out Ilhan Omar, the progressive Somalia-born Minnesota congresswoman who he's long criticized.
Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain.
Wow, he's pretty racist. Seems like that clip alone should cause everyone to demand that he no longer be the president. But, well, you know. It should be noted that 87% of the foreign-born Somali population in Minnesota are United States citizens, and 58% of the total Somali population in the area were born here, which means that 94.5% of the Somali population are United States citizens. This isn't an epidemic of illegals or whatever. They're just being racist. The president is racist against the Somali American population and sent goons to go get them. And Nick's video gave them a beautiful bit of
I'm going to say it's
propaganda
ever
to
so
increase
slightly
their attacks.
dehumanizing. This garbage is not human. But yeah, we got this. Some MBS. President of Egypt. Yeah, just chilling. Nothing nefarious here, people.
Which then escalated into more kidnapped citizens and the murders of 2 innocent people. It's technically not all Nick Shirley's fault, but to be fair and balanced, let's do a segment called Hey Nick
No, not
Shirley.
at all. We had
This is
absolutely
all your
nothing
fault,
going
and
on
you should feel
anywhere near
bad about
Egypt.
that.
What do you mean by the word benevolent?
Hey Nick Shirley. This is all your
Yeah,
fault.
El-Sisi
and you
was
should
just
feel
there
bad
for a
about
photo
that.
op.
You teamed up with a racist and made a propaganda video to help fascists terrorize innocent people, resulting in many injuries and deaths. Here's you bragging about your video causing the reaction in Minneapolis. You should feel bad and question your life. Nick's a young guy. He's like 15 or 30, and so he has plenty of time to turn it around. Maybe go to college, trade school, get into hotel management or plumbing or something. Get married if you want to. Leave the public eye. Turn back now, because otherwise I can tell you your entire future and it's grim. At best, you'll be a flash-in-the-pan podcast/YouTube guy who maybe gets
That
rich
tracks.
pushing right-wing propaganda up until you fizzle out.
He's just
and
waiting
lose
on his
all
Big Mac.
relevancy and no one remembers you for the rest of your life, during which you will feel a profound sadness and anger that you will never fully comprehend. You will eventually die unloved, having made the world a worse place to live in. But this is a moment right now where you can muster up some self-awareness and shame and look at the horrors you
I forgot about the
cause.
edits. Like, you bringing this up later.
Or you can double down.
The edits are hilarious. Got an Eye of Sauron. Cyrus the Great was buried with a scepter of tremendous power. I, king of the new world, command my people, find his tomb and recover his scepter. None shall sleep until the scepter is found. Like,
Down, envelop yourself in a far-right bubble of liars, get a job from Tim Pool or Daily Wire or whatever, and begin to callous your soul as you drift further and further away from basic human decency and empathy until your essence fades into some kind of
and
hate
nobody
rage
saw it
that
coming,
drifts
Changebox.
forsaken on X the Everything app. Your call. This has been, hey, Nick Shirley, this is all your fault and you should feel bad about that.
I agree.
What do
Nick
you mean by
Shirley
benevolent?
literally has
Hopefully that will be our
people's
last
lives
segment
on his
ever on
hands.
Nick, Don't Call Me Nick Shirley. Anyway, we should actually talk about Minneapolis and not this grimy wiener. But first, we got ads. Smelly ads. We love you, smelly ads. Let's watch those now and take a whiff. I hope you took a whiff. Also, smelly could mean smelly good, smelly bad. There are many smells in the world. The point is, those ads were less smelly, in the bad way, than Nick Shirley, who made a propaganda video egging on the Trump administration as they ramped up ICE operations in Minneapolis.
Yeah, that's how you get a stay of
Metro
execution.
Surge
You ask for a
has since
Shamrock
expanded
Shake.
into the largest deployment and operation of immigration agents
What's
in
up, White Eyes?
history. At least 3,000 federal agents, many of them heavily armed, were scouring the streets of Minneapolis and its surrounding suburbs,
It's
essentially
hard enough to get a
profiling
shake from
people
McDonald's,
based on
then
their
trying to get a
skin color
Shamrock
or
Shake.
perceived ethnicity. A tactic that was greenlit by our almighty Supreme Court back in September. Thus, Minneapolis transformed virtually overnight into a show me your papers city. The worst kind of city.
Ah, McDonald's shake machines finally got trust busted.
I don't need ID to walk around in my city. This is my
Okay,
city.
do you have
This is
some
my
ID
home.
then, please?
I don't need ID.
If not, we're going to put you in the vehicle and we're going to ID you.
Jeez.
ID.
Huh?
I'm not gonna take out. You take out your ID.
You don't have an ID?
I'm not gonna take out an ID.
Hey, man,
I am U.S. citizen. I am U.S. citizen.
All right, can we see an ID, please?
I am U.S. citizen.
Border Patrol, why are you on my lawn? Get off my lawn.
You're a citizen.
Minneapolis is my home.
Then you can get
Minneapolis is
federal
my
charges.
home. I belong here. I'm sorry. I belong
All right,
here.
guys.
I'm not gonna take out an ID.
No.
Notice how they just
Light as a feather,
walk
stiff as a board.
away after threatening to detain the lady for not showing her ID? Well, that's because going around and demanding that people out in public show their identification and proof of citizenship without cause is unconstitutional. The Fourth Amendment
I mean, who's
protects
gonna let that get in the
individuals
way of
from
a party?
unlawful search and seizure. The First Amendment gives you the right to be walking around without having to carry an ID. This hasn't stopped ICE from constantly harassing people in public for proof of identification, which, to stress, is deeply unconstitutional. They've also detained people who have shown their ID simply because the ICE officer was too stupid to recognize it as one. They've also begun breaking into people's homes and dragging them out without a warrant because I guess they decided they could do that. You've no doubt seen all the horrors, the child abductions and traumatization.
I mean, I agree with you, Changebox.
Protesters
Just, you know, a couple
brutalized.
people have been
Even
shot
the
for doing
cops
this.
aren't safe. At least won't somebody think of the cops? Overall, federal agents have made over 3,000 arrests in Minneapolis so far.
He was trying
but only
to
5%
enjoy
of
a
those
succulent
arrested have
Chinese
violent
dinner.
criminal records. And even some of those violent criminals that ICE is taking credit for capturing were already in custody and have just been transferred from state prisons into federal custody. The reaction from the citizens of Minneapolis has been exactly what you'd expect when dudes in masks are walking around abducting their neighbors with impunity. They've protested and built support systems, filmed ICE whenever they could, and of course created warning systems like honking their horns
Which
or
is not
blowing
illegal.
whistles to alert people that ICE is around, which is needed and, importantly, legal. When ICE is literally eating at restaurants, finishing their meals, and then detaining the people working at those
that is
restaurants
nasty
who
work.
made them their meals. They've created an ecosystem where you have to alert people wherever ICE is at any time, when they're eating, or at their hotels, or taking a dump. Considering some of these ICE agents may be all three at once, they could and will grab any non-white person they see. So ICE began to turn on the protesters themselves, using their facial recognition technology to track and compile lists as if exercising your free speech rights was some sort of terrorist act. We know this because they just flat out said it.
It's not illegal to record.
Nope. Doesn't work this time.
Yeah, why are you taking my information?
Mostly because these dudes have like
little database.
virtually zero training.
You're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
This, of course, along with the work of our buddy Nick the Dip Shirley, led to the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. While many online grifters have tried to eke out some sweaty justifications for these two murders, everyone with eyes could see what happened. We're not going to sit here and explain how Renee Good, while turning her car,
I mean,
not
at this
deserve
point,
to be
they don't
shot
seem to
3
care.
times by a federal officer who should
As
be
long
trained
as
not to
everybody else
stand near
hurts
the front
more.
of the car to begin with, who was filming it with his phone while he killed her, and then proceeded to call her a fucking bitch after, and then left the scene of the crime. We're not going to explain
Bruh.
how it's bad that a group of Border Patrol agents tackled, pepper sprayed, beat, disarmed, and then shot Alex Preddy so many times for the crime of trying to help a person to their feet who federal agents had just shoved over. These were, for everyone still existing in reality, two very shocking moments. When you watch these events,
It seems
the
pretty
natural
reasonable at
reaction
this
is to
point.
assume the officers involved would immediately
Unfortunately,
go to
I
jail
don't think
for
I'd want this
because
administration
that's
to
what
have
normally
any
happens,
ability to
even
change
with
the
cops.
Constitution.
Like, yeah, there have been a lot of times
They
cops
just
don't
pretty
get
much
in
ignore it
trouble
right
for
now.
stuff like this, but when it's so overtly caught on camera, usually the government has no choice but to go,
True.
you got us, and throw that cop in jail. Bad apples, am I right? But instead of doing that bare minimum bullshit, our own government immediately, and without any good reason, labeled both Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists.
Yeah, labeling
When you
people
perpetuate
terrorists, like
violence
basic
against a government
citizens.
because of ideological
Crazy.
reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
She can't even say ideological or ideological. Try it again, you idiotogical, you person. Anyway, this is f***ing nuts. Like it's all been f***ing nuts, but every time I think we've hit the cap of nuts, they've managed to burst through that cap like a fascist jack in the box. A jackboot in the box. And while it is beyond disturbing for our government to, before they even have
I'm more
any
concerned with the
information,
words coming out of her
posthumously
mouth than
call
anything that
innocent
she's
people They
wearing.
executed terrorists
As they
in
are
order to
labeling
justify it after the fact.
citizens
It's actually
as terrorists.
more disturbing when you remember the thing I said before this, that ICE
Guantanamo
had been
is
going
still
around
open.
filming protesters and saying they're going on a list of domestic terrorists, and that days before his death, Alex Preddy had a previous run-in with ICE, and I can't help but wonder, what if they recognized him when they killed him? Just a thought, just a little innocent thought that keeps repeating in my brain every day while I try to sleep and eat and shower and use power tools. Like, if this is the stuff out in the open,
There's
I would
no
love
winning
to
here.
know the stuff they aren't telling us. Oh, also,
And she's a puppy
none of the
killer,
shooters
so-
are in any major trouble, as of this video at least. Some paid leave, reshuffling, and in the case of Preddy, they didn't even want to tell us their names. The DOJ eventually opened a civil rights investigation, but only for Preddy, it seems. Because when they naturally started to investigate Good's killing, they were told by Kash Patel and other officials to
I
stop.
do not remember that.
Also, and this is important, Preddy and Good were not nearly the only people shot by immigration officers in the last year. 14 fucking other people have been shot, and in a few of those cases, our government has tried to press charges against those people after they were shot, only to have those charges dismissed. One of those people was, of course, Marimar Martinez. You know, the lady who was shot 5 times for warning people about an ICE vehicle while she was driving to church, who the government claimed was trying to ram an ICE agent who was boxed in
Puppies
by
and
10
Christy
other
Nome.
cars, despite surveillance footage showing 0 cars boxing in ICE. And the agent who shot her said, quote, "Do something, bitch," before shooting her. And then after shooting her, bragged about it in the grossest possible way, texting to another agent, quote, "I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys." Oh, also, the director of the fucking FBI posted a video claiming it was of this event, even though it wasn't, and hasn't deleted that post. So, yeah. An ICE agent clearly got
So the
mad
strategy's
that this
working.
lady warned people he was there, pulled up in front of her car, screamed at her, and then shot her 5 times. And then our government lied about it and even posted false video evidence. Extremely bad stuff. But hey, the Democrats are on it. What with their demands for body cameras, because maybe a seventh
Exactly.
angle of a shooting will get some accountability. Also, they demand the removal of masks. Maybe. Actually, don't worry about the masks. I don't know. Maybe they will pull it together by the time you're watching this. We recorded this before they decide on the DHS stuff. I mean, we recorded this at the end of the year. The year is over. Mick told me so. I miss my drill. Anyway, the administration eventually did the
freaking
barest
rough.
of minimums to pretend like they cared about this. They have been pulling small numbers of ICE agents from the area and used immigration chief Greg Bovino, that Nazi cosplayer guy, as a patsy and demoted him. I'm sure Trump is saying that he won in Minneapolis and is posting AI images of Tim Walz in handcuffs and a sombrero for some reason. I haven't checked. I don't want to check. I won't check, but it's important to remember that this all started thanks to some YouTube grifter helping Trump and his VP actualize their racism and political hatred for a few specific
Bingo.
people in that state. JD, any thoughts about any of this? I know you love to tweet about stuff.
Did you plan to apologize to the family of Alex Preddy?
For what?
For, labeling
For
him an
what?
assassin with ill intent.
Well, again, I just described to you what I said about Alex Preddy, which is that he's a guy who showed up with ill intent to an ICE protest.
No, but if it is
he's
determined,
a guy,
if it's determined that his civil rights were violated by this FBI investigation, will you apologize to that
so if this hypothetical leads to that hypothetical leads to another
it's a real
hypothetical,
case
will
that's
I
open.
do a thing?
Right. Look at his little doughboy smirk. He can't even apologize in a hypothetical. Low IQ stuff, JD. A hypothetical isn't a hypothetical about a hypothetical that leads to another hypothetical. It's just a simple question. Your answer makes you sound stupid and, dare I say, dishonest, and dare I say, like an evil piece of shit. What we're seeing here is an administration dipping their toe into brutalizing anyone
Just Judge
exercising
Dredd
their
our way through this.
constitutional rights when it pertains to stuff they
That's a
don't
better
like.
hypothetical.
That includes the Second Amendment as well, since they tried repeatedly to use Preddy's legally owned firearm that he was not brandishing as a justification for his murder. But especially, they are going after those First Amendment rights. According to a leaked memo from the Department of Justice, Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote that her office would begin to investigate those protesting against Trump's immigration policies as domestic terrorists. Her definition includes those who express opposition to law and immigration enforcement, extreme views in favor of mass migration and open borders, adherence to radical gender ideology, as well as anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity. Extreme views in favor of open borders and gender ideology and anti-capitalism, because we gotta get all those
They're just pushing all the buttons.
gender terrorists going around setting off their gay bombs everywhere and making people trans. This has actually been brewing for a while. So now the government is parading an army of masked thugs asking to see your papers and labeling you a terrorist if you express broad left-leaning views. Now, you'd think that this is where a lot of Second Amendment, free speech warrior, libertarian types would be salivating at their bearded mouths. After all, isn't this what folks like the Oath Keepers pretended to exist for? Surely the folks who were so against the mask and vaccine mandates are speaking up. It's like Charlie Kirk said, the Second Amendment is there to ensure that free people can defend themselves if, God forbid, government became tyrannical and turned against its citizens. Where are all my Kirk heads at? All my huge, oddly shaped Kirk heads. Yeah, you know the answer. I don't need to tell you that they don't give a shit.
They're too busy licking
I don't
boot.
need to tell you how, after a decade of talking up this secret government cabal of pedophiles, stealing children, and doing tyranny, all of those people have decided to sit it out when the government is actually protecting rich pedophiles and openly stealing children and doing tyranny. They love being tread on now. It's how they come. Poor lads, roaming the earth, parched for a single drop of being tread on.
I mean, honestly,
Breaking into
Changebox, I
department
agree with
stores
you,
and
but a lot
begging
of people
security guards
aren't
to
willing
put
to
them
do
in a
anything or
headlock.
pay
They're
attention
bananas
until
for
it's
it.
bad
Just
or
listen
until
to
it
this
affects
crabby
them.
adult child describe his profound adoration for that big, beautiful boot.
First of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground. I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that I said, please go out and enforce the law.
Oh, yeah, I
and
definitely
anybody else
speak
who's
up.
cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying.
Tim, I think cheering for the boot
And the joke has
is the
come
same as
back.
being a bootlicker. You very stupid person. You just said, I'm not a bootlicker. I just love the boot. I don't lick the boot. I clap for the boot. Same thing, Tim. You're
It's
stupid.
true.
And no, you aren't wearing the boot, Tim. Trump is. ICE is. Are you a member of ICE or the Trump administration? Boy, are you stupid, you stupid fucking idiot. Take off the hat. You've got to be like 40 years old now. Take it off. I'll give you $5 to take it off. I know that's not secret Russian propaganda money, but please
This is why I
consider
could
it with
never
your
try to go
stupid
on Tim
brain.
Pool's show. I would steal
Although
his
Tim,
beanie.
to his credit, does perfectly sum up the idiot thinking behind many
Bald man
right-wing
on bald man
stupids who
violence.
suddenly love government overreach and tyranny. These dips looked at years of right-wing ideology being closely associated with terrorism, probably because the vast majority of political violence has been caused by people on the right, which is just a fact. Trump supporters literally stormed the Capitol and wanted to hang the vice president.
That did
and a lot
happen.
of grifters on the right, instead of reflecting on this reality, sort of threw up their hands and said, well, I want to call the left terrorists too. So they started to try and manifest this fake world where left-wing violence is actually the big problem. It's the trans who are violent, you see. The DOJ under Trump even deleted
Yep,
the
and
data
for all
that
the
said
wrong
otherwise.
reasons.
Charlie Kirk's assassination gave them something to glom onto, despite all the other instances of right-wing violence happening around the same time. And this continued to escalate, this victimhood, until it somehow morphed all the way to, yeah, actually, we are the boot. As
If
if
that
was
actually
some kind of
happened, I
brave
swear.
stance to take. They created a victim complex for just long enough to justify being the attacker, the thing they always were, but more vocally now. It sounds bleak, but
Well, that's
as
the problem.
we
A
end
lot of people
this
haven't figured
year,
that
I
out.
do want to note that I'm not hopeless. Because we sort of skimmed over, yes, every month but January, but also over the big lesson from all of this. Our government invaded a state and a city in the hopes that they could harass and kidnap the citizens under the excuse of immigration control. And the majority of that city united to tell them to f off. Most people aren't buying their bullshit. Most people can see who the actual aggressors are. And everyday citizens joined with seasoned activists to strategize an effective resistance.
Are you serious?
It's been ugly and tragic and still not over. People got hurt and killed, but nobody
I'd never heard
looked
about
away.
this.
And all over this country, people have been doing similar demonstrations, from small towns to big cities.
That's
this
wild.
isn't a blue state issue. Here's a video from San Antonio, Texas.
Well, it's a blue
where
state
ICE
issue for
entered
now.
someone's
It's going to
home,
become an
seemingly
entire
without a
statewide
warrant,
issue.
And the residents of that home fought back as best they could.
Get out the house! No more!
Big enough for Beza. Jeez.
Why are you touching him?
Jeez.
The agents eventually left without arresting anyone. The incident is leaving big questions about why agents were there.
Absolutely terrifying goons attacking United States citizens everywhere. But they left with nobody, and those residents showed some real spunk. That's Minneapolis spunk right there. Good, fresh spunk. The kind of fresh spunk we need to spray all over America.
I was
Sorry
waiting for that
saying
joke.
Spunk so much on purpose. But going back to the big lesson, it's that Trump really thought he could go to the Midwest and bully some good-natured people
I
around.
mean, that's what a
Minneapolis
lot of
wasn't
people
the
that look like
first,
me have been
but it
saying
was
for a really
clearly
long
the
time.
biggest operation for ICE, and it is going very badly for them. ICE agents are not happy. They didn't get their bonuses, it seems, because as I said at the start of this, nobody should ever trust Donald Trump. They are cut off from humanity, extremely unliked, and had their dicks pushed into the dirt of Minneapolis, a city to which we owe a debt of gratitude, and of which we should be in awe, because they have now set the standard for how every city needs to react when ICE shows up. Just say no to ICE. Drugs are fine. Just say no to ICE. And not all drugs. ICE is meth, right? So say no to meth. Smoke weed every day. So, boy, that was 2026. I mean, what a year. I'm so glad it's over. And those 3 stories were the only news from this year. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, there's way more.
Okay, some stuff we didn't get to that I should mention real quick. Don Lemon was arrested for reporting on a story, and there was a lot of Epstein stuff, like
I mean, he
how
did a
Elon
little more
Musk
than that,
begged to
but-
party on the island, and also, unrelated, gave a Nazi $1 million. And also, Donald Trump has sued the IRS and Treasury, which kind of means he's suing all of us.
Yeah,
also,
definitely
Turning Point
don't
did a
do
competing
that.
halftime show because they're mad that a brown person did the
Don't
real
let
one.
the
And
Jakes
also,
think for
both
you.
Erica Kirk and Candace Owens are saying that Charlie Kirk had literal magic powers. Also, Catherine O'Hara died. That really sucked. Also, James Vanderbeek, rest in peace.
Dawson is
Post
gone.
layoffs were a thing, and Trump threatened more tariffs and wants to nationalize elections, or rather, steal elections, and raided the Georgia election office. And Sinners won Best Picture at the Oscars, and that weird Tulsi Gabbard stuff. And Katie finally watched Lord of the Rings, and I got a brand new blender for my birthday. Big year. It's February? No. Where'd I get this? Oh, it's from home. This is old.
Yeah, it's only February.
Whoa, really? No. Well, how do I know about the Oscars then? Am I psychic? Mick? Mick, am I psychic?
Yeah, it's amazing how many people allow others to think for them at this point. For any thought that they have or any idea, they just look for some person on the internet that says the same thing, probably more eloquently, and then that's just their opinion. I don't know what we do about that. You know,
Let me know if you think they did this on purpose.
Hold on. So I told Ike I would watch this and react to it, so let's do that real quick. Let me see how I get that rolling. Yep, I'm boomering it up. How do I get this up? Is this it? Yeah, there it is. Okay, we got it. So Ike,
Someone recently found out that if you go to the Epstein library on DOJ's website, and now instead of searching for something specific, you search for no images produced and hit search, it's going to show you thousands of PDF documents, and when you open them, it's just going to have this blank page that says no images produced. But if you go to the URL up top and remove the PDF part and then type in MP4 and hit enter, you'll find videos that I guess were labeled with the wrong file extension. For instance, here's an hour-long one of a jail cell camera with a whiteboard placed in front of it. And all the videos should be redacted, but I don't know what's all on there, so just keep that in mind.
That's pretty good stuff. I don't know who's going to do it, but fair enough. I'm with that. So is there anything else that I need to run? Vanderbeek is going to get... Like, literally so many people have fallen off in the last couple weeks. What was dude's name? Tom Noonan, then Jesse Jackson, James Vanderbeek, the mom from Home Alone. Like, within the last couple weeks, it's been freaking bedlam. So let's see if I have anything else. Which I don't think I do, but, you know, it is what it is. Because otherwise I'd just be doing Epstein stuff for the rest of my life. No, that about covers it. So, I guess that is... I have one more in DMs. Let me see. Let me switch the input real quick.
Audit systems, we are nearing 100%.
Hold on. Close this up. Wrong
Hey, look what I can
YouTube.
do!
Jet lag game?
Deer teeth, for you!
Oh yeah, I was about to hit the Tallarico thing. Let's do that. Why is this not coming up? Let me switch it. Can I even get away with watching this on YouTube? Cool. Yeah, but even if I play things on YouTube, if they're owned by whatever, I get clapped. But it's the end of the stream, so...
Welcome back, everybody.
see what we can get away with.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining me now is a representative in the Texas State House who is currently running for the United States Senate. Please welcome to the Late Show YouTube page, Representative James Tallarico.
I mean, that's been most of the video, so I'm really not tripping.
There you go. Thank you. Now, here's the thing. I don't usually say this to a guest, but if people are watching this right now, it's because they found us online on YouTube. I did an act of the show that's on tonight explaining why. It's not the first time you've caused some drama. FCC opening probe into The View after appearance by Tallarico.
Why did the FCC open a probe into The View because Tallarico went on? Like, what did he say when they had him on?
You mean to cause trouble?
I think that Donald Trump is worried that we're about to flip Texas.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much the jam right now.
And Stephen, this is the
Like, how much does Trump have to mess up to lose states that have been a lock for him year after year? I don't get it. I'm sorry, but I do not trust this guy. Is it the hair? I think it's probably the hair.
party that ran against cancel culture, and now they're trying to control what we watch, what we say, what we read. And this is the most dangerous kind of cancel culture, the kind that comes from the top. They went after The View because I went on there. They went after Jimmy Kimmel for telling a joke they didn't like. They went after you for telling the truth about Paramount's bribe to Donald Trump. Corporate media executives.
Wait, I think it's because you can't see his eyebrows. I think that's what it is. He doesn't seem to have eyebrows.
Executives are selling out the First Amendment to curry favor with corrupt politicians. And a threat to any of our First Amendment rights is a threat to all of our First Amendment rights.
Exactly, Jack. The bar is really low. Just don't be a PDF rapist or a con man. And
My network said our cancellation was
I know that's a
purely
lot to
financial
ask these
decision,
days.
and I remain very grateful for the last 11 years. Now, you grew up in Texas.
I
Here
did.
you are.
I did.
There you are. You can prove it.
There's some mighty large boots to fill.
They give you the adult boots as a child, and you're supposed
It's wild because, like, if I look back to when I was first introduced to Colbert, like, he was literally like a, what do you call it? A caricature of Republicans. And a lot of people actually thought he was, like, dead serious when he was doing what he was doing.
to just grow into them.
That's
I
right.
understand.
That's right.
You served in the
Hey,
Texas
we were all babies
House,
once.
and now you're running for Senate.
He was
the
a spring
race,
chicken.
Frankly, should not be as interesting.
Yeah, he was a satire
as
of
Donald Trump
Republicans.
by 14%.
And people thought he was real.
Why do you think this year Texas is?
He was
considered a
really over
possibility
the
by
top at the time.
Well, I'm an eighth-generation Texan. My family has been in our state since it was Mexico. And across...
So
and
you're going to get
across-
deported, is what you're saying.
Across the state, there is a backlash growing to the extremism and the corruption in our politics. And I have traveled every corner of Texas already, from El Paso to Beaumont, from Amarillo to Brownsville, and we've had thousands of Texans showing up to rally with us. And I can't tell you the number of people who come up to me at the end of these events and whisper, "I'm not a Democrat."
Wait, Colbert is a
Like
Texan? I
it's
thought
some
he
kind
was
of
from
secret.
Canada.
And we've recruited 14,000 volunteers who are out there doing the work all over our state. We have this is one of the most exciting parts. We
Oh, I
have
was about to
shattered
say.
grassroots fundraising records, all without taking a dime from corporate PACs. And so this is really it's a people-powered movement to take back our state and take back our country. And I feel like we're building something really special in Texas, and clearly Donald Trump has taken note.
Now, one of the things that's come up in some of the conversations you've had on the Texas State House floor, which some of the videos I've seen you do.
Touche,
one of the
Rabbit,
things that
touche.
got you attention out there is that you are a Presbyterian seminarian. Presently? You're a
Yes,
seminarian?
yes.
Okay. Okay. The right attempts to co-opt Christianity, to say that you can't believe in God, you can't believe in Christ. I think that Donald Trump might have said something like that at the National Prayer Breakfast, like you can't actually be a Christian and be a Democrat. But the religious right is largely a political movement that references spirituality, but it's a political. What is your heartfelt?
I don't know if you were here earlier, but I played that video that you put in the Discord before about, the images and like how to circumvent the searches, which was actually pretty good.
Hand out to the people who want to use religion as a tool of political power?
Well, for 50 years, the religious right a political movement. That is the perfect
I
description.
mean, Changebox, people are saying, a lot of people
They
are saying,
convinced a
you
lot
know,
of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. Two issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, two issues that Jesus never talked about. Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us.
no, Changebox. You have to be the right kind of Christian. And if you're not the right kind of Christian, then your opinion doesn't matter. So, you know, these Christians who aren't wanting to vote in line with this, they're not the right kind of Christians. And if you talk to certain people, you got to be ortho.
It's exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers, how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting
The
Republican.
red letters are like
It is all
kryptonite for the
about
current
how you treat the
administration.
people. Don't. I've said before, don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I was on a whole platform full of them.
And I think in our faith, we've got
Yeah,
to
I'm
get
tired
back
of
to
them
those
too.
fundamentals. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas, and when I was little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion, not an easy religion. He would always clarify, but a simple religion because Jesus gave us two commandments: love God.
The
and
ortho
love
bros
neighbor.
are taking it over.
And there was no exception to that second commandment: love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or
Yeah, that's
sexual
definitely not what
orientation
they're
or
doing.
immigration status or religious affiliation. And it's why I have fought so hard for the separation of church and state.
That's the craziest thing. Like, they don't even seem to think reading the Bible is what you should be doing. They're sitting there saying, you know, it's whatever the church fathers say because we can't decipher the Bible on our own. So our interpretations as people reading the book are never going to be right unless the church fathers agree with it.
In the state capitol in Texas because
Well, I want to ask
So
you
don't
about
believe
that.
in your
So
reading
you did,
comprehension
as a
skills. Just
state
wait for the
rep, you
church to
fought
tell you what it
against
is.
A bill requiring the Ten Commandments to be displayed in schools.
That's right.
Why, even on that level, do you think it's important to keep the separation, not just
I mean, they're literally falling out of
for
trees at this
the
point.
state, but for the church?
Well, because we are called to love all of our neighbors, including our Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, agnostic, atheist neighbors, and forcing our religion down their throats is
See,
not
if
love.
there were more Christians
And
like
it's
this,
why
I would
have
never
fought-
pipe up about it.
It's
But
why I
actually
fought so
had those
hard for that
values.
sacred separation in our First Amendment, because my granddad, he raised me to believe that that boundary between
At
church
this
and
point,
state
they don't even
doesn't just
acknowledge
benefit
the Treaty of
state or our
Tripoli.
democracy, although it certainly does, but it also benefits the church, because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice, its ability to speak truth to power, its ability to imagine a completely different world. And so this separation between church and state is something we have to safeguard. It's something we have
True.
to fight for. And I think we need someone in the U.S. Senate who is going to confront Christian nationalism and say and tell the truth, which is that there is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. It is
There have been multiple debates in the space recently about why Christian nationalism doesn't work for America. Like, not only is it not constitutional, but like literally there's a large swath of people that want this to be a Christian nationalist country and try to say like, well, nothing would change if it was a Christian nationalist country. Then why are you pushing so hard for it?
It is the worship. It is the worship of power in the name of Christ.
There it
and it
is.
is a betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth. And I just want to thank you, Stephen, because
Yeah, you
I know
can
you're
literally
not a
fight
politician,
against
but
Christian
you
nationalism
have
just
really
with red
shown
letters.
people in this country what Christianity should be and what it means to actually live out the teachings of Jesus, even in a talk show.
Well, I'm going to push back a little
Never
bit
seen
on
so
that.
many Christians
That's
cringe
very
when you
nice
quote
of you to say.
Jesus.
I would never lay that compliment to myself, because I think I fall far short of what my standards would be. But I will agree with you on this.
I mean, exactly, Frozen Knight. Like, all those people are different than Christians. They would be at war with them. All the denominations would be in a civil war. And I definitely guarantee you that the Orthodox Christianity crew would be at the bottom of that totem pole.
I think that it is bad for certainly my church or any.
They can barely even get along with the
associate
Catholics.
themselves
And the Catholics outnumber them
How must it diminish God to
by
be
orders of
associated
magnitude.
with something so small as
Yeah, they don't
a
like the sheep and the
present
goats
political
effort.
party. That's right. Because imagine this.
Especially beet
Imagine
sickles.
that you managed to co-opt Christianity. Imagine if you managed to convince everybody that Jesus is on your side. If you then lose the election,
Something like
sounds
God
like you've
mit
got a pretty
uns.
weak Jesus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the key is you don't want to fit the big thing into the small thing. And God is the biggest thing there is. And so to try to fit God into a political party, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, you've got it reversed. And so it's why I think we have to remember to put those big things first, to put the love of God
What
and
up,
the love
FQ?
for our neighbors before
Good to see
anything
you.
else. Because right now, what you've got is people baptizing their partisanship and calling that Christianity.
Are you
When
serious?
in reality, your politics should grow out of your faith, not the other way around.
Now,
I mean, technically, isn't Jesus supposed to be on everyone's side? And, you know, he's also supposed to take the wheel. But, well, they're basically utilizing Christianity as a weapon to fight against all the things that they find icky in the world. And they're using it to shield what they're actually trying to do. And it's pretty disgusting.
there's been some attention on your race in recent weeks after a TikToker that you met in person says that you privately said to them, and
That
I'm gonna
works
get
too,
this
Rabbit.
quote, and they attribute to you, right? This person says, you said, I signed up originally to run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable and intelligent black woman. Supposedly, in
What?
reference to Colin Allred being the black man, and you've denied this.
Yes.
Okay. You denied that you ever said that.
That's correct.
Okay. Allred continues to talk about it, even though he's no longer running for the Senate, correct?
Right.
So where does that stand? How do you, as
Exactly,
someone who
Frozen Knight.
this person says this about you, you say it
There's
didn't happen,
lines
how
drawn
do
in
you
the
imagine
sand
this
around
gets
these
adjudicated, and what would you like to
particular
say?
denominations.
Yeah, I mean, we know that misinformation spreads on the internet, and it's sometimes like a game of telephone. As I said in my statement, I did critique Colin Allred's campaigning as mediocre, but I would never attack him on the basis of race. I respect Colin Allred deeply, even though we have disagreements on the best way to campaign and the best way to win Texas. My job in this moment is to try to lower the temperature, is to try to remind us that we are all on the same team.
Lowering
trying
the
to change
temperature is
politics
a
of our state
really,
and
really
change the politics
difficult
of our
thing to do
country,
at this
because
point.
we are seeing the consequences of losing elections as we speak. And we have a moral imperative to win in November in Texas and to win across this country, because that's how we're going to get things back on track.
Yeah,
And
I
so
believe
know
he comes
things
back with a sword.
get tense in a primary. I know stuff flies around on the internet. I understand that.
Although I'd expect
But
a
I'm
rail
trying to
gun.
get us all to keep our eyes on the prize, which is remembering we're on the same team and getting out there, doing the organizing work so that we can win in November.
Have you spoken to Colin already?
I have.
about this?
I call, I call them after all this stuff came out and everything started to blow up, just to reiterate what I said in my statement, that I do respect him.
And how did that conversation go?
I don't want to reveal anything in a private conversation, but I hope that he and I walked away with a better understanding of each other.
Now, you're serving in Texas House of Representatives. You've had your fair share of strange days. I understand you had to weigh in on legislation.
Is the Texas House of
about,
Representatives a
if I'm reading this
Waffle
correctly,
House?
Furries.
I did.
Now, I know what furries are, and is that the same furries that I
Yes,
do not use my
unfortunately,
work
yes.
computer to search for?
That's right. Yeah, when I ran for public office, I never thought I'd be talking about furries in this job. But my Republican colleague.
I swear the culture war has caused people to have to talk about things that was never on anyone's bingo card. And now we had to have conversations about whether or not there were litter boxes in classrooms. Like, the fact that people actually believed it is crazy enough.
Colleagues in the state legislature, they were promoting an internet hoax that Texas public school students were identifying as cats.
Yes.
And
I heard
and
this
that,
story.
Yes,
I read the story.
and that the schools were providing litter boxes to those students. I know.
My
And
understanding is it's not just Texas; it's everywhere in the United States.
Yeah, I thought that was Oklahoma or
Biden
something.
signed a law that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
had to happen.
yes, forcing litter boxes in every
all the
classroom.
classroom,
Yeah.
yes.
Anyway, they decided to write a bill to combat this completely made-up problem, and it fell to me as a member of the Public Education Committee to question the author of that bill.
There it
And
is.
so I just asked him a pretty simple question: has there been a single documented case of a school providing a litter box to students? And he couldn't name one. And this video.
Wait, wasn't that Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Was there actually a woman that turned herself into a cat? But yeah, he was forced, just because they were trying to pass a bill, he was forced to have to confront the idea that furries in classrooms need accommodations. Like, this is what we're wasting our time in politics with.
Video went everywhere. You can look it up online.
So the law was working.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
This is America.
That's exactly right. He actually kind of said something similar to that.
Yeah.
His response was that this law is to prevent that from ever happening.
Oh, I understand.
Which I guess
Sure.
that's true. But anyway, there is a point to this craziness. They want us talking about furries and bathrooms, so we don't realize that
The problem is when these idiots end up
that they are
elected
closing our schools,
or trying to
they
pass
are
bills.
gutting our healthcare,
Then we, for some reason, have
and
to
they
pay
are raising
attention to the
taxes on
idiot.
all of us while they cut taxes for their billionaire donors. The culture wars are a smokescreen, because the real fight in this country is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's definitely a distraction.
Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being the first.
They're
guest to
literally
appear
wasting our
only
tax
on
dollars to
YouTube.
talk
I'm
about
honored.
litter
I'm
boxes,
honored.
imaginary litter
Representative
boxes in
James
classrooms.
Talarico, everybody.
Oh, that was pretty good. That was a good watch. I'm always a top. All right. Well, on that note, I have work in the morning, so I need to call it for the evening. So who we raid out into? Who's getting the raid? But yeah, like that's a lot of politics at this point. Like literally we have tons of things to deal with. We have the economy to deal with. We have supply chains to deal with. We have infrastructure. We have all these different things like housing problems, resource problems. And they would rather you pay attention to, yeah, I'm definitely rating horseradish. They are definitely wasting people's time and money to talk about imaginary issues that don't affect them in any way. Like literally at this point, we call every single trans debate number 5,432,543, because we've had so many of them at this point. Like I don't even see why we're doing it anymore. It affects literally no one. Exactly. Food prices, home prices. There are tons of things that need to be addressed at this point that are far beyond even thinking that if even one classroom actually had a litter box in it, it is not a pressing issue. And it's probably for the class cat. Why does he have to have an underscore in his name? All right, so we are raiding into the horseradish. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. I will be back again on Saturday where I will be debating Speakeasy, and then probably on Sunday to host a debate that is not locked in yet, but you know, it is what it is. Appreciate y'all. Catch you next time. And as always, chat is the true winner.